Warning: the following contains explicit language and subject matter that may not be suitable for younger listeners, church folk, and people who enjoy kale smoothies.
Hello, boys. How are you?
Excuse me, can I help you?
Hey, excuse me. That's very funny. Huh? And I love when it's funny. Hi,
Good
Stu
for you.
Gold
How
from
can
the
I help
agency.
you?
How can you help me? You
Yes.
can say hello to the biggest record producer this side of the lake. This is Gunther Uber Allen from Deutsche Bebop.
Ja,
Biggest record producer in Europe.
Nummer 1.
Yeah. So, say hi to the guys. This is Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray!
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
the
man.
Wunderkinder, the boys in the Bund.
Hey man, I think we met before, dude.
Düsseldorf, maybe. Yes, how are you? What's
doing,
up,
man?
Mickey? Hi, how are you?
Hey, man.
Hi.
How
Give
are
me a
you,
high
brother?
five. Oh,
Hello.
that's how it starts.
Yeah, how are you?
I love you mit der Heating, mit der Stomping, mit der Hedgeflamming.
Who does this guy record?
Oh, biggest producer in Germany. Records... recordings.
Oh, maar en seconde eerder. Så vil jeg antagelig, man siger, det er med Volkswagen, der med kunstviler, eine Chevy, eine Audi, var en kunst eerder.
The cars.
Der waren du sehen. La kunstviler er nu von Afrika en zu der große Frauen mit der Herren, waren sie?
Big hairy women.
Ja, America, boys to women.
I have heard about this guy.
Either way, I already pressed record, so I'm ready. Ain't got nothing to worry about.
Let's get it going.
All right, it's APodAmongstMen, episode 4. I'm here. Well, I can make an introduction, but I'd like to let you guys do your own. So, Laquan, take us away.
Hey, what's going on? It's Laquan. I guess I'm one half of the Gasaway twins. Yeah.
Rashaun, go ahead.
I'm Rashaun, and I'm the other half.
All right, let me tell you something about these twins. I've known you guys since, grade school?
Long time.
You guys, if
Known
you've
Erica
listened to
since
this
first
show...
grade. Maybe back since first grade, because your sister, like we're in her
Yeah, you're in the same grade.
So yeah.
But if you listen to this show, you guys have already heard these guys. Okay, our intro music. That's 100% these gentlemen sitting across the table from me. All right, we've worked together on a few different musical endeavors before.
Oh yes.
I lended my meager bass playing skills.
Nothing meager about the skills, but
Pretty cool projects, actually, if you ask me. Some of my favorite.
that stuff's actually on its way out, actually. So
On its way out, like out in a bad way, like
no,
some.
actually, it's gonna be we're gonna release that stuff out. We're gonna release that stuff out
Pull it closer.
to the public. So
There you go.
that stuff's gonna be out eventually at some point. I want to say in the spring.
In the spring.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. It's been a long time, so it's time to start releasing
it's
stuff.
gonna be. It's not usually we work with artists at this point in time. It's gonna be something that's just like a beat tape.
Okay.
So
Now, before we get into that, one of you guys want to give us an idea of what it is you do? Like, now I know this is like a side thing, 'cause you guys,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
working men.
yeah.
But
Side
all right,
hustle.
so you make beats.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you sell them? Like, how does this work? You got to enlighten me in the whole process here.
All right, so for the most part, the whole reason it even started is because back when we were in college, we had a friend of ours that we had a little group, and we would always try to find music that we would want to make songs over, rap, whatever, sing, whatever, and we just couldn't find what we liked. So it all started just because we love music so much. We just wanted to create what was in our minds and actually make it a reality. So it didn't start. The whole purpose wasn't to make money or like to make it big. It was really to feed our own needs and trying to make our own music because we thought we were that cool at the time.
And that's what any real artist does.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think of it if you're just doing it to chase fame or whatever. You're
No.
the wrong reason.
No, but that, some people would have that stigma or that mindset that, the whole reason that you're doing this is because you want to be the rapper in the video with all the girls and stuff. Yeah. But for me, and I guess him particularly, it was more like 90s music, the way that was. Like, those videos are a little bit different than what they have now.
You talking 90s like
90s
Puffy and Mace
hip-hop,
in the shiny
R&B.
tracksuits?
Yeah, like, man, I mean, I wouldn't go to that. Like,
Yeah, no, that's what I want to clarify.
Yeah, no, it would be more like, your Eric B. and Rakims or like those type of...
You talking so early 90s, late 80s.
Yeah.
Right?
Even to the mid 90s wasn't so bad. So,
Okay.
But the whole reason again was just for the love of the music and just to try and recreate what we thought would be cool music for people to listen to.
Of course.
Yeah, you get to a point like where we were getting original like beats from SoundClick. It's like a website. Like I don't even know if like the younger generations. It may still be a thing, but it's like so far gone at this point. But that's where we used to get the beats from, and we would get any kind of beat you could think of, you could find it on there. But it would get to a point where you're looking for a certain sound, and you're kind of limited creativity wise.
I got you. Now you just touched on something that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
You mentioned the younger generation.
Yeah.
Now I feel like because we're only a year apart. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm 34. You guys are 33 now, right?
Yeah, going on 33.
About to be. Might as well call it that.
All right. Take it easy. Anyway, so the younger generation, I feel like we're at that point where we're kind of in the cutoff. Where that younger generation, we're from a different generation, like that doesn't carry over to us. Like we were like the last or like the earliest millennials, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so
But
like
do
our
you
musical.
really consider us that? Like,
Well, I mean, by all the standards and all the metrics, they all like it starts around like 1980, like 81, 82 is the beginning of the millennial generation.
They're going by years, so there's
Yeah,
no
just by
control
year.
over. There's no control over the
Yeah,
label.
yeah.
Like
our
we're
morale is completely different. Like our morals. And
watch the
all
thing.
that
We're in that like sweet spot where we grew up before there was an internet, but we were still young when the internet blew up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
were
we
there
got
when
the
it
experience.
developed.
Yeah, we got the
the green
experience.
screen.
Yeah.
The dot. I mean, what was it? DOS or whatever it was before there was even Microsoft.
We got to experience both worlds. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
like we were still playing solitaire on the computer and stuff.
Minesweeper.
Simple games.
But do you ever feel like that where like because I get the feeling like like at work I get these young kids and I hear the music and I'm like I feel bad, like I don't want to be like the old man, but it's just it doesn't do it for me. Like I don't
It
feel
doesn't
it.
all
I
the
don't
way do
get
it for me. Like, but like from an entertainment standpoint, some of it's okay. After a while, though, some of it's starting to sound very like cookie cutter, sound the same, and the content that's behind it. I mean, let's be real. Like, no one's. Let's not say no one, because there are artists that are out there that are just not as popular as you and I may want them to be.
Absolutely, there's still people doing
But there's people
real
still
shit out
storyteller rap and
But I'll say this.
actually,
I'll say this in the young artist defense. Because I still listen to a lot of the older music from way back, and if you listen to some of the content, it's not all that great sometimes. Like,
That's true.
You gotta really put it into perspective.
Yeah.
They're just being kids at the same time, and they're having fun with what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I respect that part of it, and I think when we get older, I guess what we appreciate is the fact that we still want to be in what we were in at that time, and we're forgetting that time always is going to move on, and it's their turn.
I feel like when we were young, a lot of like the big artists, especially in rap, like rap was still in its infancy, more or less. I mean, you have the 80s, but you didn't have rap as we know it today.
No.
So even going back to like early Tribe Called Quest, like Phife is one of my all-time favorite rappers.
Oh yeah, rest in peace.
But if you listen to that first album, especially on Can I Kick It?
Yeah.
Like, Phife is a dope rapper.
Yeah, how he came
But some of those
there.
rhymes are like, he was still finding himself at that point.
Yeah.
And I see exactly what you're
could agree
talking
with
about. They were young kids. They were just trying to have fun, make some music. So you got to kind of see the development there.
And if they grow, then you can, or if they don't grow, if there's lack of growth, then you can say something. But I think for the early stages of what's going on, that's fine. I think what we don't like is that everything sounds the same in a sense of like the musical content, the beats.
Yes.
They all sound the same, or it's like pretty much similar. And
It's
then,
for an 808s making the whole entire track,
It's-
the
yeah.
whole entire song. And I get it. It's the audience. It's the kids. This is what the kids want. And at the end of the day, music is business.
What's amazing, in any genre, you find that like a lot of the songs sound the same, especially if you're not used to that type of music. Like, I mean, you could look at rock music, everything is kind of like a mix of the same 6 or 7 chords for every song.
it's
Didn't
true.
they do a video where it's like
Yeah,
the
some
same-
guys, they took 3 chords and they
And
played
it
like
was for like a million, like 100,000, like
all
thousands
the
of
top
songs.
Oh, yeah.
hundreds or whatever. It was like
a lot of the stuff, especially like back in the day too. I mean,
But you know what's incredible about those 3 chords or those 1-4-3s or whatever the chord progressions that they want to call it? How creative they could be using the same
absolutely.
stuff over and over and over again. Because the fact that like the content always changed with those same chords is what makes it that crazy.
Yeah, and the fact that people hear it and think, "Oh my god!" Like you would have it gets even if somebody told you
It
those
sounds
same
new
three
every
chords,
time.
Yeah, you would have never been able to guess. It's not like people listen and think, "Oh, it sounds just like the last thing."
Absolutely.
But that's something I find in certain times of music. Like I know when I hear reggaeton, it's the same beat every time.
Boom,
Like,
boom,
same
boom,
beat,
boom,
the same
boom,
tempo.
boom, 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 boom.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun. Every song, but that's what makes it reggaeton.
Yeah, but what reggaeton is the same thing when you listen in the reggae, or like if you listen in this. Not all Rasta music sounds the same, but if you're listening to like that club, like Bobcat or like that Super Cat, all that stuff, they sound similar.
It's built around the same tempo, the
Got
same
that boom,
structure.
boom, 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 boom. So it's just they have their own different styles.
Now, I'm gonna ask you about the process of you guys when you guys make beats.
Yeah.
Now, do you work as a team together? Do you collaborate and everything, or do you each kind of do your own thing and then?
I think for the most part, for what we've been doing for a long time is he'll have an idea, or like we'll draw our ideas out separately. It's kind of like giving somebody a sheet of paper. Like here, you get a sheet of paper and you get a sheet of paper, and we'll talk about like when you were a kid, draw your favorite car, draw a Ferrari or something like that. It's basically the same thing with a beat. It's like, all right, well, this is the concept. If it's an R&B song, boom, there you go.
Okay.
Come up with the R&B type of song in your mind, and then try to put that on paper, on in this concept, and put it out in music.
But do you each kind of come together with separate ideas? All right, and
Yeah, it always comes together in the end. Like we always looking at each other to tie things in, like adding things, taking things out.
There are times though where we may hear something at the same time, and it just works out that way. Where we may work on it like together at that. Like, I mean, it's not like that's rare, but I mean, for the most part, we do. The ideas are like generated separately.
Now, just for anybody listening, I haven't made this clear. Laquan and Rashaun are identical twins here. So you guys, I mean, how much time a day do you spend together?
Not as much as people would think today. Not these days. Back in the day, a lot. When you get older, I guess things change. So you got relationships and different things and careers and stuff. So I would say now is like a few hours in a week, which is cool. And it's not bad, but like we still like if we're like hanging out with friends and stuff, we always see each other. If like we're making music and stuff, we live together. But like he's got his own life and I got my own life, so it's like I got my own thing going on. He's got his own thing going on. We're cool with that.
All right. So for me, like being in bands before, I know how hard it is just to get anything written, especially when you're working in a group of people. Like 5 people trying to come together and agree on how a verse should sound. Is a fucking mess, man. Like, I mean, that's why, a lot of times you see like groups, like 1 or 2 guys will do pretty much all the writing and make all the music, and everybody else just kind of comes in. All right, what do I need to play? You know what I mean? So, and I know how stressful that can be, just with a friend, let alone with a brother. Now, you guys obviously have known each other your whole life. Does that? I mean, because obviously I've never seen you guys even really argue, but that's me.
If you ask some of the people that would know us, they would say something different. They would say they've always seen us arguing or bickering.
Siblings, have their gripes, here and there.
We're the type of people like there's no hard feelings at the end of the day. If we're arguing over something dumb, the next minute we're like best friends. We forgot all about it. It's not that serious.
In the arguments that we have, they blow over and like some people really are blown away by that, and it's
well, that's it.
When they see that, they're like, and then like 5 minutes later, they're like, seriously? Like,
not everybody could do that, man.
Nah, some people think it's a comedy show too, so it's just like whatever. I run with it. Like we'll just like joke or like hag on each other sometimes, like clown each other and make fun of each other and like have fun with it. It's just whatever.
But that's huge.
But that makes it a fun. That makes it all fun though, because some other people you don't know how they would like take it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of friction, man. People get their feelings hurt. They start getting sensitive.
I mean, that was kind of part of the reason why we when we went to college, it wasn't bad being roommates. I mean, like some people were like, "Oh, you guys are roommates, aren't you guys tired of each other?" At the same time, you have to think about the possibility. You have to think about the possibilities of you having a roommate with issues or habits that you are not used to yourself. So I'm used to At that point, after 18 years, I was used to all of his habits, so that was like a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's like especially when I went away to college, you like gotta share a bathroom with someone because I know how like clean I want stuff to be, and it's just like,
And if it's not clean, you know you can yell at him, and it's still
But
fine.
yeah, that's the thing. Like you guys have that familiarity as opposed to just having a stranger walk in with the weird like hygiene shit.
Yeah.
exactly.
You know.
You don't know how sensitive someone's gonna be either to how, you know, like I said, you didn't grow up with that person, so you
Yeah.
don't know if they're gonna be offended by the way you talk to them. I mean, like, we're not offended by the way we talk to each other. It's I don't know.
You could pull the mic up a little bit so you don't have to hunch forward and get comfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you want to try to like point it at you.
You're not
Is this
banging the
good?
table.
Could
like,
you?
Is that all right for you?
Yeah, I'm good. Could you hear me here?
No, I hear you.
Oh, good.
I just want to make sure it's picking up because I had to learn myself. Like the last one I did, I had a bunch of people here, so every time I went to talk, I would be looking away from the mic, and then you can't hear it. So then you would hear me turn back, and then when you listen to the show, you're like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" You know what I mean?
Nah, I just want to make sure you're picking me up.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right, good.
Keep in mind, like I can adjust it however I need to.
Okay.
Listen, man, we're this is early in the game. This thing is still a work in progress.
Yeah, so
awesome.
I want to congratulate you for the idea and the concept of the show. I like it so far. I mean, I like from what we discussed, I like the content and the stuff that you're gonna have.
I appreciate that. The fact that even one person reached out and said that they actually enjoyed it was enough for me. But I know I haven't really. Most of what we talked about on the episodes was kind of just bullshit and random. Like it's a general topic of what we wanted to do, and the rest is just kind of free flowing.
Yeah, you take it
what I
and you
mean.
run with it.
But that's the thing. Like we could talk about anything. Like it's for men. That's the only thing set in stone. Like it's not that it's only for men, but it's aimed at men. That's
Yeah.
all. You know what I mean? Like
the audience, I get what you're saying.
my wife can listen, but it's not so much. Women have a lot of resources right now. The men don't have a lot of positive ones. I feel like,
I agree.
in my opinion.
I agree.
Okay.
Like there's plenty of resources for men, but I feel like there's not a lot that are trying to do the right thing and trying to promote like a positive idea of masculinity.
Yeah.
Because everybody's talking about toxic masculinity. Okay, we can agree that there's plenty of toxic shit out there, but you could still be masculine without being toxic. Is what I'm trying to say. You know,
absolutely.
like there's real men. Like be like a stand-up guy. That's it. It's that simple. But at the same time, like we could have fun. Like we could talk about music. Like we're definitely gonna be talking about music tonight.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
gonna talk about movies, whatever the hell we want to talk
Yeah.
about. The last one we did, it was all like nerd stuff. We're talking about Aquaman for like 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
I love it, man.
But here's the thing: you guys have definitely two of the guys I know with a lot of musical knowledge, a lot of involvement in music, and that's why I want to get you on here because
absolutely.
this is going to be the first kind of music episode.
Yeah. All right, let's
But the
go.
fact that you guys are creators at the same time is
yeah.
one of the big things. You know what I mean?
Heck yeah.
So, and let me just say this formally, I want to say thank you for contributing to the podcast in such a huge way.
Appreciate the invite to be here.
Anytime, man.
Anybody who listens to this podcast hears you every time, every episode. So
All right.
I just want to make sure I'm giving credit where credit's due here. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it.
So, what do we got here? Now, I know the idea obviously is to create music that you guys enjoy. All right, but is there, obviously you want to get it out there. You want to, you want to spread the music out. The goal isn't to monetize it. You know what I mean? Not to make money.
No. It just happens that way sometimes. Like there's been many of the occasions where like we get in the projects where money's involved, but like that's not the goal. It happens sometimes, but like we don't boast about those type of things.
I mean, at the same time, we do want the recognition. If let's say something does get out there and it does get big, I mean that's all cool and great. We feel like the money and all that stuff will come with it. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, we want to do it for the simple fact that it makes us happy. It's something we like to do. And it was something that we originally did to create. We had a lot in our brains and in our minds that we wanted to actually get out into the form of the speakers to get that to your earlobes. And
the beauty of it is we own it all. Like it's all ours.
Well, that's the thing too. Like I mean, it's still fun to create the music. You guys get enjoyment out of the process, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That's when it's at its most enjoyable part.
If I'm not having fun with it, I'm not down there. I'm not in the studio, or I'm not like on my iPad. I'm not making anything at all. So like I'm always in the mood, at least, because I always try to find a way to be around music. Like even now, getting into DJing, like doing that like the old school way, like trying to mix in old 90s tracks and old, some R&B club, Montel Jordan, like, but even with that, trying to evolve and mix those older tracks into the newer songs.
Stuff, yeah.
So just trying to always be around music. Because the thing I'm starting to realize, especially when you're trying to be more of a DJ more than a creator, is you have to like things that you don't like.
As a DJ.
You get what I'm saying?
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely.
There could be somebody, if you're at a venue or whatever, and they say, I want to hear this, and you're like, man, that's corny.
Yeah, but I don't want to play that, though.
But you might be inclined to play that if 90% of the people out there are chanting for that to come on.
Imagine if, like, it's something, I mean, obviously, your son's going to get to the point to where he gets to the music. It's going to be something that you're definitely not going to enjoy probably. Imagine if you had to DJ his party when he turns 18, though. Think about that. Yeah. You're not gonna like probably a single song.
It's alright. I mean,
you have to make them all happy.
Dude, I'm trying so hard to get him into like music that I like.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm just doing the old man thing. Like,
no, it's gonna rub off.
Okay, because
it's gonna rub off.
Like
my grandparents did that to me all the time.
Like when I was a kid,
I used to be like, man, I don't want to hear this Luther Vandross crap and all this, and then
you appreciate it when you get older.
Oh, bro, I love Marvin Gaye.
That's what I'm saying though.
When my mom played it, I hated it.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate it when I was a kid. I didn't have any idea.
I
what
mean,
I was listening
to be honest, when we were with our Nana in the car, I mean, whenever she would put something on, I was completely fine with it, to be honest. And it was always some type.
Of jazz.
Jazz.
Yeah, she would always listen to jazz.
It's like when it was WBLS Kiss FM back when.
Kiss FM was
Kiss FM.
Back in the day, that was when
what was that? Even like when did they change the station?
Dude,
like
that was Kiss FM. I was in like preschool when they first opened.
That's basically when she was knocking that stuff.
So yeah, that's like what we came up on, originally, and then all the old records my mom would play.
My pops used to listen to the smooth jazz station.
Oh,
he used to listen to
Smart Man.
That Kenny G.
Kenny G, Lee Ritenour, David Benoit, all those guys.
Jazz stimulates your mind.
Yeah, and I liked it as a kid because when I was young, like I really didn't watch MTV or anything like that. Like those were the stations that I knew because that was what was played. And my mom would have like Motown stuff on. Like she used to listen to Marvin Gaye a lot, and then she bought the Earth, Wind and Fire Greatest Hits.
Yeah, my favorite groups of all time.
Now, yeah, when at the time I was like, oh, and I feel like such an asshole. Because then
you want to know what captivated me at the time more so than the lyrics. Even though the lyrics always, I mean, for me, they always caught on because everyone in my family knew the lyrics, so they would sing along. But it was the instruments. And the sounds like of all the horns and all the other stuff, all the stuff going on in the background. And maybe that's why eventually we got into the whole creative aspect of making music.
We would hear songs and look at each other in the back seat. Like, did you hear that on drums? Did you hear this sound? Or what did they use for this? So that was just
that was always a common thing. And we were kids, 5, 6, 7, pointing that stuff out specifically. And I thought that was just like I don't know. When we got into the point where we were going to start making music, we always reflected on that.
And Earth, Wind and Fire. There's a lot of layers. There's a lot of instruments going on.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, when I was older,
horns, all types of stuff.
Oh yeah, when I started playing,
when they did like recorded sessions,
bro, they had everything. Like if you watch them perform, that looks like the most fun in the entire world, just to play in that band. That their shows, like, I mean, they're not doing just like boring typical shit. Like they're playing.
Oh yeah.
You listen to Verdine White play bass. This dude's up there like two-stepping basically and playing these like intricate bass lines.
Man.
Yeah, the wild ass
another group too. They're no Earth, Wind and Fire, but they're pioneers of what music is right now. Is Parliament and the Funkadelic.
Okay.
With George Clinton and those guys.
I didn't get into them.
You didn't have to, because the music that's popular today is based off of that.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing too if you like trace a lot of stuff back to different artists, influences, and it all kind of comes back to
you've listened to Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, right?
Of course.
Well, there you go. That's That's
Yeah,
Parliament and
that sound
Funkadelic.
came from that. Yeah.
Which song was it that they sampled and that was like the one big one? Do you remember? Or is it just
Wasn't it Ain't Nothing But a G thing? Wasn't that like, didn't that have?
There was Let Me Ride.
Let Me Ride.
Yeah, and that was taken off of they did a concert and they had the tape reels from the concert. I remember this.
Yeah, that song was definitely sampled from.
And it was sampled from that song. He got that song from the Parliament and the Funkadelic actually gave
They
him.
even did a thing.
The masters.
They showed it, a part of it in the movie too. Like the opening scene when he's laying there listening to the record player.
Yeah.
It's that sample.
They gave him the masters.
Yeah.
So it's that sample, and that's what took off. But that's not their only song. Everybody's, just like James Brown is probably the most sampled musician to date, like period, no questions asked. He's the most sampled
whether it's
artist.
a vocal or instrumentation.
That's what Parliament and the Funkadelic was to early hip hop in the 80s and the 90s. Period.
Let me ask you something. What do you think? Like, when do you think? At what age did you like become aware like of music and really, like, what did you like? You know when you hear a song and you actually it makes you feel something.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember the first time like you heard something that
Yep.
made you have like an emotional response?
Absolutely.
Do you remember what it was?
It was Khalees. And when I found the Neptunes, when I started listening to the Neptunes, it was 1997, 98. No one even knew who Pharrell was.
Back to like SWV, because that's when they started producing.
Yeah.
So that was the music that really captivated us. Like the songs, I mean, there's songs that they did on their first album. I don't really got to get into the specifics, but you could go down the road.
He wrote a lot of stuff for them, but like as it progressed for him being his own label and his own projects, that's what did it for me, because he had full range. Like he had full range of creativeness. So them as a group, as a collective, emotionally, that's what made me say, wow, you can make music like this and feel good like this. But that's crazy.
Even like as a kid, like there was nothing back then. Cause I never. Like,
well, back then, I was more like listening to the music and like wanting to be a little rapper, being the cool guy, the Naughty by Nature, the Tupac, Obviously, Tupac would definitely captivate you if you're listening to his lyrics.
Yeah.
If anything, that song "Do for Love" was. If you listening to the lyrics and the type of person he's trying to be in that song and what he wants to be.
That Bobby Caldwell sample?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do for Love. And
that was a great sample,
and
too.
people don't even know Bobby Caldwell is white.
Makes him
so, and he's singing like a brother.
Bro, he looks weird as hell. Like, if you hear the voice first, that was like a Rick Astley type voice.
He doesn't look like what he's performing, and that's what's crazy but that's what's beautiful about music.
My dad had all his albums.
You don't know what's going to come out of anyone's mouth if they're that gifted or that talented, and that's what's good about music. It doesn't matter.
I always heard Bill Withers when I was a kid.
Bill Withers,
I thought he
was
awesome. White because he doesn't like.
You know what I mean? I thought that too.
He's got that voice.
And then
he's got that, and his songs are very simple. They're like basic like that. I'm not saying that white is basic. I'm just saying
I know
that
I thought this.
His musical concepts are genius, but like the way he
hits, man.
What? He's got stuff that you can play at cookouts and wherever you go to this day. At basketball games, at different venues, wherever you're at, you can hear Bill Withers songs.
He's got Dr. Evil doing like remixes of his songs.
Yep.
But
you know who else was one of my favorite too?
Who's that?
Michael McDonald from the Bee Gees.
Oh yeah.
I like
the Bee Gees.
No,
that's Barry Gibb. Michael McDonald. He did the. I keep forgetting.
The Doobie Brothers.
Yeah, the Doobie Brothers.
Doobie Brothers,
was
right?
It the Doobie?
Yeah, he was in the Doobie Brothers.
But I know the one big hit when I first became aware of him was I Keep Forgetting, which they used for Regulate.
Yeah. He did a duet with was it Anita Baker or was it
No,
he did a lot.
Yeah,
it was Anita
of
Baker. He did
Patti LaBelle.
Patti LaBelle, excuse me. He did a duet with Patti. Excuse me.
On My Own.
Yeah.
That song. There was a duet.
Like On My Own. That song. That whole thing.
I remember he had that song "Sweet Freedom" that he did.
Yeah.
Like you can't find it. Like
no, you can get them off YouTube.
Yeah, he had some vocals.
I was like sitting in the bathtub and put the suds on my face. I started singing like him. White beard. Yeah, that's a good one because
great music though.
A lot of people, if you just heard him, you wouldn't know. You can't tell certain guys just have, you know, a little bit of soul to
Another
I like the,
Tina Marie.
Genesis. Oh yeah, and her too.
Tina Marie.
Yeah, Rick
rest in
James's
peace.
artist. She's not here anymore, but if you listen to her music and you look at who she is, you'd be like, "There's no way." There's no way, but she.
People used to think that when they would hear her songs, they thought it was a sister on there, and then you'd see her, and then be like, "Oh wow!" And it was like,
Then you see her live, and you're just
you're
like,
yeah,
"Wow,
she's got that."
Yeah, she's amazing. So.
And she was a real talented artist, man. I mean, she has songs I like too, up there on my top like of all time, that I grew up on that my grandmother was playing.
For me, because now, like I told you, my pops listened to like smooth jazz and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that was just instrumentals.
Oh yeah.
When I was young, I remember being back at JFK at elementary school, waiting to the after-school program, waiting to get picked up at the end of the day.
Yep.
And I had my Walkman, and I had my dad would give me like random tapes. And you know who Dave Koz is? He's a saxophone player.
It sounds familiar.
Either way, he's a sax player.
Sounds familiar to me.
Yeah.
But I remember listening to these tapes and just hearing certain chord progressions that they would play in the song, and I really found like just the music itself was enough where you'd make me feel something.
Yeah.
That you don't even need lyrics all the time. You know what I mean?
No, that's what we got.
Well, the saxophone is one of the most beautiful instruments out there, as far as like
jazz ended up becoming one of my favorite
voice.
things.
It's a voice and an instrument. It's like both. It can.
Because even when it would get to a point where, like you say, you would start listening to music, and obviously you would be like, all right, I can't listen to this no more, the content or whatever. I would just switch to jazz or something where there just aren't any lyrics at all.
I felt like I was like a weird kid because that was like, this is back when Criss Cross first got big.
When they were wearing
when,
the backwards
when
stuff.
Jump came out.
Yeah.
Like, and everybody's listening to that, and I couldn't get the tape. My mom wouldn't buy it for me. And all I had was these smooth jazz tapes.
I had that tape. I didn't. Most of those tapes we had, it was just like that's part of, I guess, the culture. You know, is what it is.
And guess what? I bet you the fact that, you know, us as kids are like, oh, they're wearing that stuff backwards. Oh, I want to do that too.
My
I
mom
bet you
would
that
let us
drove
go
your
to
parents.
school like
Yeah,
that.
I bet you that would drive someone's
I
parents.
used to drive the lunch ladies
nuts.
to school crazy.
Yeah, but I guarantee.
Fix your shirt.
I wish. I
You
wish,
wear a hat backwards, you would get something just for that.
Exactly, and I wish we would try to go to school like that. My mom would be like, "What? You can listen to music. You're not going to school like that. It's just not happening." So you start realizing there's a reality in it all.
Yeah.
What's real and what's not real, and there's stars and we're not. We're just regular kids going to school. So
That was you know, when you're a kid, you just want to be cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just won't fit in.
Yeah, and as you see these young kids, especially, I think that was like for Criss Cross, like they went, their name was Criss Cross, and they're gonna wear their clothes backwards. Like that was like a hook kind of thing. Like they were a little.
that was the gimmick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the gimmick. The leading single to make their career.
I think the fact that they were young made so many kids like, oh, I want to be like these kids. Like they're
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
they could do it. Why can't I do it?
And they were
But-
doing all these little things that kids want. You know, they were doing the you know how
The
kids
little-
do the
yeah, the
eyebrows.
nick in
Yeah,
the eyebrow there.
all types of stuff. They had the braids, and everybody wanted braids, and
Yeah, I see people with that now.
Oh yeah,
But
they're just
like,
recycling the
but
styles from the '90s.
I see people that didn't do it on purpose. Like they just have like parts missing of their
it could be a
eyebrows.
cut
You
or
ever
something.
see that?
Yeah,
Yeah, like a scar or
it could be a
something.
scar or something.
I was
yeah.
almost there. I got
That happens.
please.
I got it, but you have to look. You have to wonder, like, all right, was that on purpose or is this guy just, you know?
Yeah, but
Just like
if it's on purpose, it's definitely more obvious.
You can tell they do the design.
Yeah.
It's like a fluid design that you see. Like
I don't always have my
it's pretty
glasses on. I
obvious.
can't tell too well.
Yeah, I'm not 20/20 either. I wear contacts. So.
Yeah, same here.
Now, all right, before you guys came here, I asked you to think of your top 3 most influential albums in your life.
Okay.
Top
All right.
3.
Just give me number 3 for now. All right, Laquan, go ahead.
For me, number 3 would be Kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope.
Yeah,
The
that would be Khalees's album.
okay.
That would be the first album that Pharrell, in my opinion, that the Neptunes full on produced. Like that was their first project.
Now, would you say that is something that you appreciate on like a creative level, like that helped?
Definitely
influenced
on
you
a
to
creative
create?
level, because that album built the sound for a lot of other albums, like Justin Timberlake, Nelly,
And helped
the
Pharrell
whole
get
lot of who they
his
worked
sound.
with. Yes,
Okay.
literally that whole sound came from
that album. And
Now, that's true because Pharrell has a sound. Like you could hear a song, especially like you said, like
yeah,
Justin
a lot of
Timberlake,
people don't
Usher.
address that, but a lot of that comes from that album started that whole realm of what they sound like. For
There's
that
a lot, yeah, you're right. There's a
standard.
lot of guys out there that have their distinct sound. Like they use certain certain sounds that they use.
They use a specific snare,
There you go.
specific kicks. They use the clavinet, which was like one of the most like proclaimed like electric pianos that you could use. Like they had specific. They used the Yamaha keyboard. They use ASRs to sample their music, so it had specific tonality. Like they use specific things. So when you heard the song on the radio, before you even heard a lyric come out of anyone's mouth, you're like, the Neptunes produced that.
Gotcha.
So that album for me is definitely number 3 because, like I said to you, prior to, that's the whole reason I started making music. When I felt like, wow, you can make music like this, and it's got different like feelings. Like there's a song where she's mad, there's a song where she's happy, there's a song where she's sad, but it's still the music around it was just incredible. So I was just like, that's what captivated me.
All right. Rashaun?
I would say In Search Of by NERD.
Okay. All right, a couple Pharrell guys here.
Yeah, I was a big fan. That album got me into pretty much everything that he got into as a producer and as an artist. From that to Neptunes Presents the Clones, like that album got me into a whole nother realm of music, and it got me into like that was the beginning of a creative period for me for wanting to actually get into making beats because he was really influential to me.
All right.
So the whole group was influential to me. Chad Hugo, I can't leave him out. He was he's the guy behind the scenes. Everyone knows Pharrell's like the front man, but Chad Hugo, he's another one, real creative.
All right, I went off for me, my number 3 is gonna have to be Evil Empire by Rage Against the Machine.
Rage
Now,
Against the Machine is a great group.
I like them too. In high school, I listened to them.
I'm gonna tell you exactly why that album specifically. That album had, it was obviously Rage Against the Machine. They're a rock band, but it had almost like a funk kind of vibe to it, a little bit like just
I like that vibe.
You know what I mean?
The bass line and all that
it's
stuff.
the fact that I was a bass player, and the
Yeah.
fact that instead of just kind of hanging back in the cut, like staying in the pocket, Tim Comerford, the bass player, he would lock in with Tom Morello, and that's how you get that heavy riff sound where it's like real chunky and like it makes you move your head.
Yeah.
And that gave a different sound than any other rock group that I really knew of. You know what I mean? Because you might hear a bass player and a guitar player lock in together, but for them to do it and just the quality of those riffs, like it made me feel like, all right, as a bass player, you need to be right up there, with the guitar
That told
players.
you
and
could
the
be
front
cool
man.
too.
Exactly. You don't
Yeah.
have to just stand in the back like
The
like
bass
John
man
McVie.
definitely gets love.
Yeah.
You can't really have
You know
a
how
song.
many bass lines made a song?
Yeah, without
like,
a bass line.
completely?
As musicians, we know that, but most people like
Yeah.
they
Some
might hum
people,
a song.
you'd be
Well-
surprised though.
well,
'cause
here's the thing.
you go on the YouTube comment board, people know.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it might be people that play
Well,
instruments.
most of the girls, what are they twerking to? They're twerking to 808, right? That's a bass, really. That's really what it is. It's
That's
a bass
true.
line.
That's what's making the
it's
song.
just a modern bass line.
We're going back a little bit. I don't even think anybody's really like the word twerking wasn't around back in these
No,
days.
but even
it was around on a smaller scale.
even
But
the
that's- but
Sir
you're
Mix-a-Lots and the Juveniles, the back that ass up days,
If you,
it's
if
still
you
the
think
same.
of like a song as a body, like the drum, the percussion is the skeleton, and the bass is the muscle that holds everything together,
It's
that moves the
everything.
skeleton, you know?
Song sounds naked without a bass.
Yeah, there's no meat on it. You know what I mean?
And that's what's beautiful about Rage Against the Machine, because they base all of their bass lines were pretty sick.
Yeah, they're funky.
Yeah.
I like that.
He was a bad motherfucker. All right, number 2. Laquan, what do you got?
Number 2 for me would be Dr. Dre's The Chronic 2001.
Okay.
For me, some of the best moments of my life were my teenage years, and I think that's why the album was so important for me in life. I was such a huge fan of Dr. Dre, huge fan of Snoop Dogg, huge fan of Corrupt Daz. Everybody that was in that whole death row camp that kind of was like around, Dr. Dre and NWA. So like for me, that was like after, The Chronic, the main album, that was like, how was he going to like follow up from
tough
the
act to
first
follow.
album, And when he came out with that, I remember I was sitting in the back seat of the Pekarskis car when their mom was driving us around. We were in the back seat and we heard the Dre song with Eminem.
Forgot about Dre.
Forgot about Dre, and I was just like, I went to the store the next day, and they have Sam Goody and back they don't have that anymore, coconuts and all that.
The plastic off of the CD.
But yeah, I went to a Sam Goody and bought that. I bought the Chronic 2001, and I never looked back. I might have played that disc so many times that it's played out. Like I played that thing out.
I always underestimate I always think that's much newer than it was. Like when I think about when that came out,
and
think about how long.
It's a long time.
Yeah, but think about how long I've been listening to those songs. You know what I mean? Like Still Dre comes on.
They're timeless though.
Yeah, and I feel like
listen to it 1,000 times.
Like, oh my god, this is old now.
Yeah.
Like
how funny is
it? It doesn't feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it still feels fresh.
Till
you said it's
look at the year
timeless.
Exactly.
Released. And then we start to really think, like, that's what makes you really think about it.
And that's another reason why that album's important is because you obviously, the name can't let you forget about when it was made.
Yeah.
So for me, that's definitely important. A lot of people recognize that album, and it's definitely not. I would probably not be the only person to say that's in my top 3.
Yeah, I don't think that's too much of a hot take there. I think that's you're not going to find too many people that are going to have a problem with that one.
Absolutely.
All right, Rashaun, number 2.
I would say it is Midnight Marauders by Tribe Called Quest. That is one of my favorite. It's actually probably it's a number 1. I mean, it's actually a tie, but it's I'm gonna give it a number 2, just because there's other stuff. But it's like one of my favorite of all time. I mean, for obvious reasons, it's a Tribe Called Quest. Every member in the group did their thing on that one.
I'm just gonna come out and say this was my number 2 also. So
thank you.
See, something in common. There we go.
That's how great of an album
I actually
it was.
have.
Anybody that's like a Tribe head would probably say the same.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Low End Theory was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
But the fact that they could follow it up with something that's
Something
strong,
like that. Yeah.
it's Midnight Marauders.
Exactly.
Bro, the first time I ever heard Electric Relaxation, that was when I realized, like, yo.
Music makes you feel good. Like that's one of those things.
It was that song and Now You Caught My Heart for the Evening. That was one of my favorite.
That's the Low End Theory, but you talking about the Midnight Marauders. That's has a lot of heat on it. Isn't that Hot Sex on the Platter on there too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that song. Man, they got hits on that.
Bonita.
That Bonita Applebum was the first album. That was
that was the first album with all the artists on the cover.
I get them all confused all the time.
They got hits, dude. They got
too many of them.
You gotta listen to
make a long story short, though, I actually got that album in vinyl, and I have never even I haven't even ripped the plastic off of the vinyl for the simple reason that I want to just collect it, like, and just leave it alone.
Tribe is one of the groups I'm trying to show my son. Like, I'm trying to get him into it. Like,
that's what all the people that, like, all the artists that are out now are like. Come on, that's what they're like.
In fact, that's who got Pharrell started.
Really?
What? Absolutely.
Pharrell,
Kanye, every artist that is anything today or what music is right now, because all those artists made it what it is today is because of Tribe.
And then you have like Jay Dilla, another like
came from Tribe. Yeah, like he was under their wing and kind of went off on his own thing, on his own tangent, and just went crazy.
I feel like a fool for getting it wrong, the songs wrong. On I always mix them up, the albums. It's just I feel like they all like kind of like segue together.
That's the thing. They don't all feel so drastically different.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Because they're that good though.
They have that
they're
cohesive
that good
sound.
at making it sound like it's a whole new album, but it's still got songs where you think it's all one album.
I mean, the last album, the one that came out like 2-3 years ago, that definitely sounds different. But it's how many years later? So I give them that one, and then plus
chemistry is different because I heard they argued a lot. There was actually a documentary.
The documentary Michael Rappaport did. Yeah, and there was a lot of tension between Fife and Q-Tip.
I'm a big fan of Michael Rappaport, man. Yeah. That's a good dude right there. He's funny.
I'm a little disappointed. I listened to Mike Rappaport for like a couple of years, and he always had his co-host, this guy G Moody. He was his best friend growing up from Brooklyn.
Yeah,
and they must have had some kind of falling out, man, because
it's not involved anymore.
He's not involved. G Moody went off and made his own show.
Oh man,
I'm like, they had a chemistry, man, because you could tell they were friends. You know,
I don't know. I don't want to have no falling outs.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen.
I tell you what, that's what made me nervous about a podcast. And everybody say, "Oh, who's your co-host? Who's your co-host?" It's like, I don't know. I think I might just do it on my own because this, you don't
know.
You got to maintain a relationship there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm married, bro. I got shit to do. Like, I can't maintain too many relationships. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, back on track. So we got me and Rashaun had the same number
Same
two.
number two.
All right,
My number one is
He
gonna
rocks on
stun
that
you
thing.
guys.
number one. Hit me,
I think I know.
You know,
Laquan. Hit me.
my number one album is, and I could have named a bunch, but my number one is gonna be Outcast A Criminal.
Okay.
Boom.
All right. Now, why Aquemini?
That album in itself, for me, like, especially being from New Jersey, because Atlanta didn't get enough respect in my eyes. And look at where Atlanta is right now.
On there now. Yeah.
And I feel like, for me, those were like the major pioneers for the whole reason that Atlanta even is
the
on the
Dungeon
map.
family.
The Dungeon family, the whole Atlanta movement back when they had LaFace Records and they had L.A. Reid signing TLC and all these great Dallas Austin, just crazy acts. So that album was crazy from front to back, from first track all the way to the last song. Was incredible. And they told the story all the way through. You got guys like Slick Rick on there. They had Raekwon do an appearance on there. They had some of their artists which blew up later, like Sleepy Brown and a whole bunch of the guys in the Dungeon family, like CeeLo, who is huge now.
Yeah. Well,
So this album really built a lot of people in my eyes, and that structure of what music is today and what people are trying to make or recreate. So I feel like that album, there's a lot of memorable songs. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I mean, that goes far. Classic, by the way.
Yeah.
So again, I'm trying to choose albums that like are really like moments in my life, and I feel like when I was listening to that specific album, it made me feel very good, like in a very good way. I wanted to make music like that because I thought Andre 3000 was nuts. Like he was so like out there, but that was like what was cool about him. He didn't care. I mean, people would see the clothes that he would wear and how he would dress, and they didn't understand or they wouldn't get it.
but you could tell, like the guy was a creative person. He was different.
Yeah,
You know what I
even
mean?
when
He
I was a
different
kid.
in the way Prince was different.
Yeah.
But I admired that because,
Yeah.
especially in the way that hip hop, the way a rapper is supposed, what you're supposed to look like, the baggy clothes with the jewelry, he didn't
He had
fit
a
that.
little short
he
blonde
didn't-
wig on. Like, and I'm sitting there looking in the video like, whoa, this is way different than what I've seen.
And they think like
But
people put
he's
labels
cool.
on you and they think then he's gay or whatever, and he's not. Like he's just like
He's expressing himself.
he's in
differently.
his own lane.
I feel like some of the most creative people just get that, like, I don't want to say gender fluidity, but they just don't give a shit. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
fuck your label. Whatever I am is what I am. If I want to wear this today, I'll wear this today. If you don't like it, you get something to say, it doesn't matter.
Cool.
I'm still going to do my thing anyway.
And guess what? He's still gonna get girls.
Yeah. But like I said, Prince, you get David Bowie. It was a while, I guess he was a woman for a while or something. I don't know. The whole Ziggy Stardust phase. But there's guys out there, and they made dope music.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't let society try to tell them what they could and couldn't be. You know what I mean? And I mean, I don't know, isn't that kind of what this whole thing is about? Like,
Yeah.
fuck what everybody else is saying. This is who I
Can't
am.
tell artists what to do.
Yeah, well, they're an
Can't tell them
artist.
what to
That's the
paint.
key word.
Can't tell artists what to paint.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't tell someone how to be creative, or like how that's gonna come out on their palette.
Yeah,
or
you
whatever.
can't box somebody in when you're creating something.
Exactly.
All right, Rashaun, number one, hit me.
Number one's Illmatic with Nas. Now I was between
I
that
could have did that.
and 36 Chambers from Wu-Tang, only because the simple fact that was the first album I ever owned.
Which one?
36 Chambers.
36 Chambers.
But I had Illmatic too, and lyrically that did some things to me. Like
I think that did some things to a lot of people.
intellectual wise. Now I listened back to that album today, and I'm still blown away that, like, what was Nas 18 when that came out?
Maybe younger.
I think it was
Might
younger.
have been younger. Than
Younger.
that.
The
Maybe 16,
vocabulary
17.
in it for someone from
His vernacular is crazy.
But you have to look at where he came from. That's like the education system. I mean, you were talking about someone who really didn't. I mean,
And if
he
I'm
was
correct, he
self-taught.
dropped out.
Yeah, he dropped out. This is someone who's self-taught. To hear the vocabulary coming out of someone's mouth like that, I mean, clearly I knew he was reading books.
Yeah, well, he changed the whole scene after that album came out, like a lot of people had to straighten up their act. Like, all right, we can't be playing around.
Yeah,
No.
and on regular
Gotta start
beats,
saying
too.
stuff now because
Yeah.
they're not saying much.
Like the beats were
Exactly.
great, but they were very like. Some of them were like basic, you know.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It wasn't about the beats. It was about,
about
him,
him.
And the words he was saying.
Yeah.
Like you could write the lyrics to a song out, and it's
I used
a
to
story.
I used to memorize his songs. Those are like see, that's the thing. The music today, especially when he names that album specifically, I don't try to memorize any of the words or like what they're saying. You just get to the hook and it's like whatever. This song will be gone in like 10 months and no one will remember it ever again. But like with those specific like albums and even with Illmatic, people would sit in their room and sit in the mirror and like rehearse those lines like they were him. And like, absolutely remember those words. You would know those words better than you knew your homework.
But that's a symbol. That's a sign of a good song, of good art. Is where you're not trying to sit there and remember it. It just sticks with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you hear something and you can't get it out of your head, and it hits you in a way where it leaves an imprint on your soul, and you're like, oh shit, and you got to step back and think about it. You know what I mean?
Like the New York State of Mind, please, man. That song is the way he explains everything is.
He was just ahead of his time because people are trying to do all that stuff now.
Detail in his words.
Yeah.
I mean, who else talks about stepping outside and spitting phlegm on the streets? You know what I'm talking
But it's
about?
a story. Like it puts you there. Those details, like
gives you a visual of what's exactly going on.
Because you just think all you got to do is you picture him hawking that loogie, but it puts you in.
You in that
world.
street of Queens, right
Like you
there
see
in them
Yeah.
projects. Yep.
You're watching the movie in your head, and every detail matters. You know.
So that's why he's number one now.
Okay, I respect that. My number one, I don't know if you guys are gonna know. It's a bit out there, but it's the album "Sometimes" by City and Color. City and Color is actually one guy. His name was Dallas Green, a Canadian dude. He used to be in like a screamo band,
Okay.
but what he did is he branched out on his own, and he made he used to do like acoustic shows.
Yeah.
It was just him and a guitar. But people, like fans, they liked it so much that they were like, "Oh, you should put out an album." So he was like, "Okay, well, I'll record these in the studio and just put them out." And it's real simple, like simple. It's just him, a guitar, and in a couple songs you might get a little bit of piano, maybe a little bit
drum,
of strings.
maybe some percussion.
No, not even. No drums.
Wow.
It's acoustic. And the reason that I picked this one is
check
because
this out.
even the songs themselves, like when we're talking about just a handful of chords, most of the songs on the album you could play with the same 7 chords. All right, it's really simple, but it's all about the emotion of the vocals and the choice of the chord progressions in the songs. You know what I mean? It's subtle things that make so much difference, and it's a very emotional album. Like when you listen to it, you feel something. And if it hit you know how you listen to like a certain album at the right point in time in your life, where it's like it was just that perfect window. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What's it called again?
It's called Sometimes by City and Color.
City and Color.
The guy's name is Dallas Green, so Dallas City Green Color.
Okay.
But that album had changed my whole life. It made me want to pick up an acoustic guitar, and I just left my first band, and I was like whatever. You go to a breakup, and you hear the right songs, and it you know what I mean? Like it gets inside you. So that's what made me want to play guitar, and I realized like you could do. I think it just kind of opened my eyes with music. There's no rules. You know what I mean? There is no box to be kept inside. You can do anything. And even the simplest things can have the biggest impact on anybody. So just this one guy with his guitar is enough. It changed my whole outlook on music, on everything I knew about music.
What year did you discover this?
This had to be around 2006.
Oh wow, that's
2005,
not that long
2006.
ago.
No, not that long ago.
Okay.
He's done a few albums after that, and he's actually brought in like a full band. So it's kind of got like an indie vibe now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the guy's got such a beautiful voice. He actually did an album with Pink, where it's the two of them. Like it's all the whole thing is just duets, the two of them.
That had to be a fire album because she talented as hell.
But it's like that. It's all like real like acoustic, soft stuff. But bro, you can't not feel something when you listen to them. Just their voices together, super
Say no
soulful.
more.
But do you have any like honorable mentions? Anybody that came close that didn't make it in the list? Because I got one that I want to throw
I
out.
told you the honorable mention that one because that was a tie. And Biggie Smalls Ready to Die.
Mine would be Big Pun's Capital Punishment.
And that too.
Would be
There's so many.
There's so many I can name, but that's definitely an
That was
artist
a good
that
one.
influenced me.
Rest in peace. He was lyrically another one that just
A lot of people. I don't
underrated.
think Big Pun.
He
Really
didn't get
gets
enough. He didn't get
credit.
enough of a nod. But if you listen to that album, that's another front to backer.
Wasn't there that when they used to have the Stretch and Bobbito show? Didn't he do a battle against Biggie and beat him?
I think so.
Or is that somebody else?
I'm not sure. I think it was DMX across. It was somebody. I don't know who was. It was a group of them at a spot, and they were all sitting around a table. I'd have to watch the video again. It's still out, but I think I know who you're talking about. I forget who he was.
They had a documentary on Netflix about Stretch and Bobbito, and they were talking about it. I fucking can't remember if it was him or not. I'm gonna throw out an album that I don't know how you guys feel about this one, but this one, like, because for a while when I was just all, it was pretty much all rock in my life for a while.
Yeah.
But this album kind of brought me back into the fold with rap, and it made me, kind of feel something.
Yeah.
The album B by Common.
That's a dope album.
That's one of my favorite. Yeah,
That's awesome.
This is
about Common, man.
Yeah,
He's another one, man. Lyrically, he was amazing.
My favorite was when he battled Ice
I See
Cube
the
and Wasn't
Bitch in You.
Scared. I just thought that was amazing.
I See the Bitch in You. That song. Oh man.
Because you would think Ice Cube's this big bad, gangster with all the movies and stuff, but Common wasn't really beat for that. He just came at him and came pretty hard.
He did a little like a diss track against Drake a few years back, and
It wasn't that good.
It wasn't that good, but it was one
I thought
line.
it was good.
There was one
entertained,
line
but,
that made me just like.
What, the Canada Dry?
Yeah, you went nobody. You Canada Dry. But no, the album B by Common.
Yeah.
Kanye produced that album.
Yeah.
And this is back when Kanye was Kanye. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? This is
He's very creative back then. Not saying he isn't now, but he was just a different Kanye.
And
that Kanye broke my heart, man. He broke my heart.
broke mine
long
too,
before the MAGA hat shit. Like,
oh well, he fell off. Well, musically, he broke my heart before that. Way before that. So I don't even want to hear anyone say, "Oh yeah, that's not."
It wasn't even musically that he did it though. For me, it was when he started showing his ass and acting like an asshole at these the movie awards. Now, and before the Taylor Swift thing.
Yeah.
After he made the video to Touch the Sky.
Oh yeah.
One song off the second album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he didn't win the award for best video.
Yeah.
And he threw a tantrum, and I lost it.
You should have known right there. I mean, we should have known that was an early indication that we got a brat on our hands.
He broke my heart right there, man.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, dude. What kind of guy does that? Like, really? You didn't win. Have a little grace. Come
Madonna
on.
does that.
Come on.
Madonna does that.
But Kanye's first two albums, you could see they're beautiful albums. Like they're dope. They have like amazing lyrics. The production is amazing. The music is amazing. It was just
told stories.
Awesome, and it was fun. Like there was jokes. Like he could clown around, but still be, still have like a really, really, really good song.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get too much on Kanye. But
it's all good.
That album
album
is so underappreciated. Mm-hmm. That album made me appreciate rap again. It made me kind of.
I wouldn't be mad at you for having that album as your pick. That brought you back. It was a good album.
But especially for me because it was such like a jazzy vibe to it. Also,
I think he had that "Come Close to Me" song with Mary J. Blige. I think that was on there too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie though.
I know that album pretty well.
College Dropout was up there too.
College Dropout. That's what introduced most of the world to Kanye.
Yeah, that's the guy's a genius. I just wish he just did things differently.
If it could have been like, if it was like a top 5 list, then that song could have made it. Like that would have been like crazy for me.
The thing is too, we're gonna look at it in hindsight. Like I'm sure at the moment there's probably even other albums that might have affected us more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
But we don't appreciate them now the same way we did then.
Yeah,
I did a lot of fun shit when I was listening to that. Yeah. When I was listening to those albums.
And that was why I named those albums specifically. People look at me like, why would you choose Kaleidoscope? I'm like, hold on, man.
Hey,
you weren't. Feel something. No, I was gonna say you weren't around when I heard this album, and what I put people on, because people didn't really even know about Pharrell or who the Neptunes even were. A lot of my friends were like, what the hell is this? And stuff would come out and I'd be like, see? And then that would happen, So
there's a lot of songs like that. Like you hear a song And then you 10 years later, somebody says, "Oh, you know that song by so and so?" Like, nah, I have no idea. And they play it, and I'm like, "Oh, I've been listening to this since I was a kid."
Yep. I did that with
Exactly.
my girlfriend the other day. She claimed that she didn't know who a certain artist was, and I just played a song. She
Play a
goes,
song. I know who that is. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't know the name. I'm like, you gotta, as an adult, you have to pay attention to those things. Period.
And I'll give you another.
Even as a kid, I paid attention to
lot
those
of
things.
people
I would
just-
always ask my grandparents if I heard something that I didn't know. Who is that?
A lot of people don't do that.
I had
They
to
got
know.
Shazam now.
I had to know. They had Shazam, but back then I had to ask. Otherwise, you just didn't know.
Honestly, a lot of people just don't have the curiosity. They're just like, "Oh,
I
this
was
is a dope
always,
song."
and maybe that's what made me more inclined to making music, because I wanted to know how I could even research them and hear that again and hear all those instruments all over again and break that song. Because me, when I listen to music, I would just like break it down, break the instruments down, the drum pattern, chord progressions. Oh, they threw a sax in there. That sounds crazy. Like all of that would be adding up in my head, and it would just make crazy sense in my head to say, "Wow, I want to do something like this."
And then I'll give you one that came up to number one on the rock side.
Okay.
Or, I mean, all time. Well, I don't know what you would classify. Incubus.
Ooh, which album?
Stella. Was it Stella?
That was Make Yourself.
Make Yourself, yeah.
That, bro.
That was
right.
a really good album. I like
I-
that one.
That's pretty fly album.
Now,
Now, this is someone who listens to a lot of hip
let
hop,
me
but
tell
I
you
like
something.
that album.
That was the album that pulled me away from hip hop and R&B for a while.
Oh, really?
That album
Alright,
specifically.
That's how funny is that?
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I got into that album around.
That was like
eighth-
That
late
came out,
middle
yeah, it was like
school, going
sophomore,
into high
junior
school.
year.
Yeah,
that was late middle school.
Yeah,
going
it's
into
like
high
late
school.
middle school, early high school for me.
That was
yeah.
like that album came out. We were in high school when that came out.
Yeah, yep.
Because at the time I was living in PA.
Okay.
Because the song Drive came out, and I was like, "Yo, this is cool." And then I got the album, like, okay, the rest of the album isn't all like this one song.
Me and outer space.
Yeah, I heard that was the first time. Well, I think it was on MTV's
Song's fly.
TRL or
That's a
something
dope
that
song.
came on.
That's actually
It's
they
actually
have
one
a
of my-
really good acoustic version of that.
No.
Yeah,
you look
it's
it up.
really good. And the song "I Miss You,"
Miss You's good.
or "Wish You Were Here."
Wish You
was
Were Here
that-
is
that's
off the
different
album
one.
after.
I was
That's
about to
off
say that's a
Morning
different one, but "I Miss You" was
Pardon
that
me.
one. Yeah, that was a good one.
Pardon me while I burst into flames.
Yeah.
When I heard that in high school, like there's a song, like the first
two
line of the song
flames,
is like,
yeah.
"A decade ago, I never thought I would be 23 on the verge of spontaneously combusting."
Oh, you know what?
I waited so long till I was 23 just so I could sing that song. Oh, no, it was me, bro.
I'm gonna throw this group out here too. Rest in peace, Chester Bennington. Linkin Park.
Yeah, I like Linkin Park.
That
too.
at the same time, those
Man.
two albums.
For me, that pulled me even away from a little bit of the
Well, you-
hip hop. I liked Linkin Park a
but
lot.
that bridged the gap for a lot of people.
It did though,
Yeah.
because especially when they did that album with Jay-Z.
Because it was a hip hop
forget about it.
influence.
Yeah, they had Mike Shinoda did
Yeah.
a lot of the verses.
And they had a DJ. What's it? I don't know.
Joe Hahn.
Yeah, he was a DJ. He's a good DJ.
That's
too.
another fly group though. So
He's
Yeah.
scratching, like real scratching.
I think a lot of people like knocked them for a while. They thought it was all like contrived. Like it was like, oh, this is just corporate shit.
those dudes made hits
Dude, those
and
guys
crazy
made
songs.
video.
And they had a solid front to back album.
Have
Like,
you
that
ever
wasn't-
seen the footage?
Two solid front
Have
to
you
back
ever seen
albums.
the footage of Chester in the booth
No.
screaming? Wow, it's magical.
Yeah, man.
You can't pay
You
for
can't
that
pay
kind
for
of
that.
stuff.
Like, come on, that's not
I mean-
gimmick.
You know what's fucked up? I think about this a lot of times with rock, especially like heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you think of like 40, 50 years ago, like when rock music was still a little younger, like I'm talking like the Led Zeppelin days,
Yeah.
like 70s, even if you go back into the 60s, like Black Sabbath, like stuff that they thought was heavy back then, like stuff that was getting people banned from places, like
Yeah.
they were, thought they were Satanists. You listen to that now, and you're like, what the fuck
That's
is this
lightweight
soft
compared.
shit?
I was gonna say that's light work compared to what they got out now,
like,
man.
The
It's not even
stuff
close.
now, like heavy metal,
Yeah.
screaming, and like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, there's a Christian group.
What? This is
What?
wild
I did
shit.
hear something like that, and I think it was like,
Dude,
was it like high school?
Christian
Around high
metal
school?
is no
Yeah.
joke. I mean, at least when I was in the metal scene, like one of my favorite bands was this band called As I Lay Dying.
Hold on a second. Let's not forget. We ain't gonna just act like we just heard a heavy metal Christian band. That doesn't even. That's like saying you're a gospel rapper, but you curse.
But that's the thing, like,
What are you gonna be screaming about Jesus in heavy metal though?
But there's probably
It's
no
not-
profanity. Or
Oh,
Yeah,
all
there's
right.
no
No, I was
profanity.
just like, wow. I was just making sure though.
That's the
Because heavy
thing.
metal is kind of raunchy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
That's the misconception. It's not raunchy. It's just aggressive. You know what I mean? Because if you a
these are
lot of these
screaming, "I
groups,
love you, Lord," or something like that.
not even, but I would say like a lot of these groups, like you hear the screaming and it sounds like anger and like just raw aggression. But when
I
you
didn't get that. That's why I didn't use that word though.
But no, but a
Yeah.
lot of people see that and they're like, Jesus Christ. Was like, you ever hear people like, oh, they're singing like, oh, kill your mom, kill your
Yeah.
dog?
No, I don't get
That's
that
not
vibe.
at all what they're saying. If you actually read the lyrics, what these guys write,
Bible
it's actually
scriptures or
no, but not even like even the non-Christian guys.
Okay.
Like it's beautiful.
that
Like
group?
it's literature. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're writing a poem and they're using.
You know who was a group that was able to bridge that gap between heavy metal but still has some catchy songs?
Who's that?
System of a Down.
System of a Down was all right. Yeah, okay.
Because
Yeah.
their lead singer was screaming.
I know a lot. Of,
Hey, they
I know
got
a lot
some.
of
They
bro-
got some.
Like I know a lot of brothers that like System of a Down too.
Listen,
like we'd be
yeah.
in the,
They
in the
got
locker
some
room
songs
before games, and that would come on.
where my
and
man
lose
is
their mind.
aggressively screaming and it sounds hard. It's pretty tough. The songs
They
are
had
nice.
some good stuff.
Yeah, I like that.
I never got into them, but they were big.
I didn't go buy their
album.
albums, but I like songs that they had. I thought they were pretty, and I would actively go get them from iTunes right now if I could.
Alien Ant Farm came out with one song I really liked, but I think I only heard one song from them. Or
They
something.
covered Smooth Criminal.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
They killed that version.
It
I
was
liked
good.
it.
A lot of things too is if you listen, like even in the metal world, because you know there's so like, I know rap isn't as fragmented I think as heavy metal and hard rock got because there's so many different classifications. You got hardcore.
Yeah, there's
grindcore,
like different variations.
screamo.
There's like,
Yeah.
but that's like hip hop though. There's subgenres. That's all it
Yeah.
is. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's
But-
all rock.
Not all stuff that sounds like hip hop is hip hop.
Yeah. But if you listen to some of the stuff, especially when you get more into like the hardcore side, where there's a lot of it's like breakdowns in the song, where that's when all the kids go out and they mosh. You know what I mean? But it's a lot of times it's literally just an open chord, but it's like a beat. It's like,
Yeah.
din, 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 so, and it's you get to move your head to it, like, oh shit, this beat is hard. Mm-hmm. And then you realize it's like you gotta, a lot of the influences come from the same place, like we were saying before, but it's a totally different type of music, and you see everything kind of has these like a common ancestor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody's kind
Some
of got
lineage.
this, everything. This is going back, like when the branches weren't so spread apart. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like back in the tree, or the family tree of music, so to speak. But I know, especially like when I was in the metal band, a lot of the breakdowns, you know, it's not that it sounds like hip hop, but it's a beat. It's the rhythm of it that is the catchy part of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like hip hop is built off the rhythm. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that was one of the things. It was it was the commonality that those different like polar opposite genres of music, but they still have that similarity. You know what I mean?
And that's when
I
you
always
get
like that.
your Run DMC and your Aerosmiths.
I mean, could we say that was really like the first like collaboration from like rock and rap? Because who really did
Was
anything?
it? That's what I was
before
gonna
that?
say. Was it?
I think it was the first mainstream.
Yeah, it may be mainstream.
Because that song was huge.
That was huge.
Maybe like for a crossover standpoint. Yeah.
Yeah, especially from a crossover standpoint, because you got one of the biggest rock acts going at the time and one of the biggest hip hop.
But that song actually like reinvigorated Aerosmith's career because they were big originally and then they fell off for a
They
while.
fell off, but they
And
still.
it was, I think it was that song.
It
that
made them
collab
cool
that-
again because
that
rap
brought
was
them
like
back.
this new thing that
Yeah.
all the young kids were just
It
getting
gave them
into.
a whole new credibility.
Yeah.
But that's what shows you opening your mind a little bit to other things, like you just said, crossing things into each other. Maybe it benefits sometimes. So,
I want to ask you something. Now, like we're friends here.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like hip hop and R&B, so to speak, like genres that are mainly like black folks making that kind of music? Do you feel like a lot of the stuff is not, like, I know, like we said in the podcast, it's not aimed towards women, but women can listen to it. Do you ever feel like white folks kind of jumping on that is I don't know, like does it make you feel a certain kind of way, like?
It depends
Depends.
on what the message is.
You know what I'm trying to say, though?
Yeah.
It depends on a few things, though. I mean, for me, how they carry themselves, what message they're sending, and as a person, like who are you as a person? If you're pretending to be somebody that you're not, then no, I'm not cool with that.
My thing is too. Also,
You're
the respect
also-
you gotta pay for the people that did it before
Also-
you. That has to definitely be addressed and acknowledged.
Also, I
first and
will
foremost.
address this, and if you're gonna use the N word,
Well, I mean,
That's not a question.
That's not
though.
really
Yeah,
a
that's not
question.
I know, but there are some that do it. I mean, let's be real.
I ain't really hearing much of that.
I haven't heard it.
I'll give you it. Let's say this: it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody from that's white. So, I'll give you an example. The guy that's calling himself Rich Brian now.
Okay.
He went by Rich Chigga, which obviously that
Asian
word
dude?
is yep. He was dropping that word left and right, and like it was okay, like it's all right. I mean, most of his audience is, it's Asian, obviously.
Was he saying chica or the N word?
Both. Both.
'Cause I know a lot of Hispanic
I don't really
Hispanic
listen to
guys.
his music to
I
even
actually
say.
listened to the song where he dropped it a few times, and he got some backlash for it though. At the same
I would
time,
imagine so.
I mean, for obvious reasons, he's changed his name from Rich Chigga to Rich Brian.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's fine. Obviously, he acknowledged it. So that's
but-
fine. That's
but-
progression.
I mean, the only way he's famous is because of that. So
Yeah,
if
it's
we
kinda
take
like
that
a
away, what do
provocative-
you have?
But let me ask you this though, not even from like an artist standpoint, but from a listener standpoint.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I know, like I said, like my dad listened to a lot of jazz, my mom listened to a lot of like soul and Motown. Like I feel like that was kind of built into me at a young age.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff I like now is I like a lot of like older stuff. I love listening to Sade. Sade was one of my biggest. I didn't realize
Favorite.
how many songs I knew by her until I started. I
One
got
of
all
my
her
favorites.
stuff. But I'm saying like a lot of the stuff that I identify with is not what you would call white music, and I don't like. I mean, I certainly don't want to come off looking like a poser.
No,
like,
but that doesn't make you
know
a
what I mean?
poser though, because that just makes you more inclined on what you've been growing up on. There's nothing wrong with your parents' exposure.
Plenty of friends that grew up listening to music that people like. I mean,
I tell you right now, one of our homies, Chad, he probably never heard a real rock song. I mean, he probably heard a couple, but he would listen to more rap than anybody I ever knew. He would have some of the
he
albums
knew
before
more
I
lyrics
had.
than I knew in some of the songs.
His
So-
brother was a rapper.
Huh?
His brother
Oh
was a
well,
rapper.
yeah. They both love. I mean, like, it was a big. I mean, we all grew up around the time where it was a big thing.
I think another thing is generational too. Like our
Yeah.
generation, like some of the biggest artists were rappers
now
or
it's
R&B
tattooed
singers.
in. Yeah, I mean, it was just getting tattooed into society in the '90s. So I mean, people don't realize. I mean, you say in the '90s, and it's like that was a long time ago. But it really wasn't that long ago. I mean, if you really think about it. I mean, it's a long time ago. I mean, let's be
If
real.
you're young,
yeah.
it was a long time
Because
ago.
if you weren't born, okay.
Yeah. To us, it doesn't feel like that long.
Yeah. I'm still in my early 30s, so I mean, yeah, that's not a long time to me. I mean, maybe when I'm 60, that'll feel like that, or 50.
That's the thing for me. Like so certainly sometimes I'll be at work. I have like radio playing. Mm-hmm. You know, like sometimes I have like the Spinners come on.
Oh, I love the
Spinners classic.
People,
It's a shame. Oh, that song. Is
you know, I feel like a lot of times like sometimes like a black dude might walk by and kind of have to look in to see who's working in this room. Like what are you listening to, dude? I always get that. Man, you'll know nothing about this.
Yeah,
You
you do that.
You know what though? I don't really do that anymore because if I know they listening to it in the first place, obviously I know they know good music. So I don't really come like that. If I hear somebody listening to some good
I'm
music
gonna go
and I
in
know
there
I
like-
listen to it, I'm gonna be like, yeah,
Thumbs
you
up.
know what you're doing in here. That's how I would look at it. I wouldn't look at it that way.
I was working at this one building in Jersey City. It's right on the water.
Maybe the old timers.
The old-timers,
might come at you like that. But if it's
Old-timers,
someone youthful like me, I will be right there in the booth jamming with you.
But I bet if you hit them with the what you know about that, I bet you $20 they will.
I get old timers asking me that.
They will receive you with open arms as soon as you hit them with that, because I was like they'll laugh. They'll be like it'll be, this guy knows music.
I was working at this one building in Jersey City, and I just got back from Jamaica. It was not too long after I met my wife.
Yeah.
We went down there for our friend's wedding.
Okay.
And I came back and I was on a Marley kick because you can't go to Jamaica and everybody all they do is
Yeah,
hype up
man.
Marley. But especially like in like the touristy places
I
too.
love Jamaica.
Yeah.
So I had something playing, and then I just like, you know what? Let me just do like a Pandora station because all I got is Bob. Like I want to hear more stuff.
Yeah.
So like Peter Tosh came on, and one of the Spacklers was Jamaican, And all of a sudden he comes in and he's like, "Nah, these are real music, man."
Oh,
I was like, "Bro,
man,
like,
that's
you heard me
crazy.
playing all this shit like for the last 3 days, and now all of a sudden, like as soon as it's not Bob, he can come in." But it was almost like that. He's like, "Okay, I respect.
Yeah.
I can get that."
That's dope.
But like actually the year before that, I was working on this one crew, and it was pretty evenly split up, like white guys, black guys. Everybody's cool, and a couple of the guys. One of the guys was in my apprentice class. His name was DJ, a cool ass dude, and he would hear my music playing, and he pulled me aside one day. He's like, dude, like, I really didn't expect to hear this kind of music from you. He's like, but no, but I would call this guy a friend.
Yeah.
Like, he's not just somebody like I knew. Like, we were friends.
Yeah.
And he's like, it really kind of made me look at you in a different light. And I was like why? He's like, I don't know. I just thought of you as more like a rock guy, like screaming music. I'm like, I like that stuff too. He's like, no, it's just the fact that it shows me that you have, like you have an open mind.
You do.
I try to, especially with music, especially now.
Oh, me too.
There's so much stuff out there.
Well, you know what's crazy though?
You can never get to the end. It's just,
Oh, yeah.
all you gotta do is listen.
Every
You know
day
what's-
the new
I
artist
don't
comes out.
know, and I don't know what like it's for me. It's not really like the music that you listen to is necessarily like a race thing, but it's hard for me to believe that a lot of other white people don't listen to that type of music. A lot of those artists that you're naming, the Earth, Wind, and Fires, and all, they influence a lot of rock stars.
Absolutely.
Period.
Now,
Period. More than any of the other rock stars may have influenced them.
I'm gonna say this, because you could like if you say you're like an older white dude, like you could love like black artists, but I've seen, and I'm telling you, I've seen this in experience. That doesn't mean that they love black people.
Oh,
Like, you know what I mean?
That could be
it's
true.
fucked up. It's like a cognitive dissonance.
That
Like,
could be
So-
true. I
so-
try to understand the
so
people
real
that I'm
messed up
listening to,
disconnect,
though.
but-
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I try to get myself at least connected in that sense. I like good energy. So it's like if you're making a song, but your like personal energy isn't good, I can't really vibe with that. That really doesn't.
but I don't feel
Time
like
to
you
me.
get that negative energy from any like
No,
that.
but that's what makes music so great, though, because you got to take the race out of it sometimes. Like they got to take the fact out that you like that song. It's a good ass song.
I think
that's
the
you know
guy
what I'm
makes
saying?
the song
Like,
so good to make a racist forget he's racist.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
you know?
the problem is, when the song's over, they go right back.
Yeah.
That's a shame, though.
Unfortunately.
That's the shame, though. The
hey,
music
man.
should be able to take you away
At the
from
end of the
that.
day,
and to
I
see
feel
it
sorry
differently.
for that person because your life must
They-
suck.
they-
You have to
and-
hate people because of their skin color.
And they missed the musical message, then obviously,
Yeah.
because behind all of that is more than just again.
Well,
the
think
color.
about like the older generations, like especially like in New Jersey, like you get like a lot of the old Italian guys, like like the Sopranos type guys,
all those dudes
I
listening
know,
to
I-
old
all
school.
like doo-wops and stuff.
What they love
I know
listening
that
to the
with
old
those
school
guys, I know how
soul
they
music.
feel.
They might not admit it.
No, they'll admit it, but at the same time, like you hear some of those people like behind closed doors.
Oh, I already know, man. You think
it's
I'm
not all love.
and the funny thing about it is, I don't think they realize we know what they say behind closed doors. I mean, it's so like, they don't even have it censored to the.
My thing
to the point. That,
my thing is,
I
I'm
don't
not.
think they care.
I don't
My
think
thing
it-
is, I'm not an idiot, and you're not gonna pee on me and tell me it's rain.
yeah.
I'm much smarter than a lot.
And
of
I'm not
people.
saying everyone's like that.
No, I'm not saying that
It's
either.
not generalized.
I'm just saying
But
that
you,
not
get,
one of those.
but you get an idea who may. Or
But
may
hey,
not. It's
I
not
will
that-
say this.
that
I
hard
mean,
to
I'm not
figure
going to
out.
generalize something, but I mean, I'll say this. But if a majority of what I see happens to be that kind of activity, then I'm gonna call a spade a spade. You know?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people don't realize that certain things they do are like forms of racism. I mean, I'm not trying to do like the whole like social justice warrior thing, like.
No,
but you, like you said, you call
What's
it what
right
it
is right,
You
and
know
what's
what I mean?
wrong is wrong, man. And
Yeah.
if you can't see that, I have to question the way you were raised. I have to question you as a person, like all of that stuff. And at the end of the day, like if you're not a smart enough person to like, if you're going off of something based on what you're following a belief that you're brought up on, and you can't think for yourself as a person, then something is really wrong with you. You know what I mean? You have people that just are just that ignorant, that just stay in that one state of mind. And that's when I kind of just, as a person, and I don't think I would ever get there, but that's what makes me want to kind of like, hey, like, do we have to slap some sense into you, or are you just like far gone?
I think certainly when you're talking like age, people reach a certain point where you're not going to change them. You know what I mean?
Oh, clearly not.
And especially like
at this point in time.
And that's why like the social media thing is another like aspect of like that whole thing, because people try to be these soldiers and warriors online, and I just don't have the energy for all that. Because you're not going to change anyone's mind. It's already made up.
To the point to where I don't even waste the energy. I don't entertain it.
It's already made up. So why
post? I used to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I used to argue with people on Facebook about shit.
It's like it's
you're
not
right,
worth
you're not
it.
changing anybody's mind.
I got in an argument, a small argument over something when Trayvon Martin got killed with some little punk who happened in high school. He wanted to dress like the culture that he's so
baggy clothes, backwards hat.
So-called hates this culture now. Okay, as he's an adult. Okay. But back to the story, get into small, debate about, a grown man following a child in a hoodie, and confronting him and eventually killing him. And this guy is throwing dirt on a kid's name and saying, oh, maybe he deserved it. I mean,
I don't think anyone deserves to die regardless of color. So that was a dumb comment.
As a kid to get approached by a grown person who's armed. Period. Like you're not. I mean, the guy isn't even It's a lose-lose from the beginning. What kid deserves to wrestle an adult or be in a position of where they're wrestling an adult?
Well, never mind deserving. Like, first of all, that's not how the world works. You use your neighborhood watch. You're not judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah,
bro.
you don't get
the
to
cops
do that.
told that guy, stay back, don't get involved.
Exactly.
But clearly this guy had,
But that's here nor there because it is what it is at this point. We could beat this with beat this to death. This issue especially.
So we get in an argument online, and I see his true colors from a few statements that he says, because he's basically categorizing African Americans as suspicious, or as we don't get to get treated like everyone else. Like, why do we have to be approached in a manner to where there's always suspicion that we're doing something or we're always up to something? I mean, let's be real. Mm-hmm. That is a perception, a societal perception.
Absolutely, and that's been drilled into a lot of people's heads.
Yeah.
Like,
so I don't want anyone to come at me and say, "Oh, you like what life's experience you had? You're from Bridgewater." Okay, I'm from Bridgewater, but at the same time, I've experienced
we have a lot of life experiences
calling me out of my name. I've experienced places outside of Bridgewater that are perceived as nice areas where I've been called out of my name. I went to Lehigh University. I am not toot my horn by any means necessary, but that is a predominantly. I'm a minority there.
It's a white school.
Yeah, it's a private school, and trust me, there is plenty of. Not a lot of it. I'm not. Again, it's not like a generalization or anything like that. But there's some tension there, here and there, amongst, African Americans and the privileged white kid. Okay, I'll say that. But I mean, like, it depends on how you look at it.
Well, listen. I mean, especially like Lehigh's in Pennsylvania. Like, you're gonna get people from all over the place. You're gonna get different, different walks of life. There's going to be at least a couple people that are going to have, something fucking stupid to say.
Yeah. But they don't, the thing is, they don't walk in my shoes, so they can't tell me what I experienced, what I've seen, what type of prejudice I've experienced. So that's what I'll say. Mm-hmm. So for someone to be like, oh, you haven't experienced, you don't know anything. I mean, dude, are you with me every day holding my hand? Were you with me when I was in Pennsylvania and we were getting pulled over just because we're black? And I'm telling you that we got pulled over just because we're black.
We got that line. I mean, on a bunch of occasions.
I have friends that are, and I
can name 5.
I have friends, and I love and respect them, and I'll never generalize them as I don't do that. I don't generalize. I have friends that are police officers, they're in law enforcement, and it's my girlfriend. Both her parents are in law enforcement, but I don't. I take each situation and I look at it like that. Like, that person did a wrong thing.
I don't hold the whole thing accountable.
I don't hold the whole thing. But when you find out though that at certain places when they do investigations or they do their little internal and fair investigation,
it's never fair.
Like a systemic problem in like a department or something.
It's always to sweep their mess up.
How do you as a person? And I mean, like, Okay, let me make an analogy, because I want to make this clear for the people that do listen to your podcast that are in law enforcement that want to kind of feel a certain way. I want to make an analogy. Okay, for what I do, I'm in sales in the medical end. Imagine me selling a product to somebody and it accidentally kills them or something like that, like to that degree. And me as a person to sit there and let's say
you still get paid, but you gotta sit at home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now let's say let's look at it from another angle. Let's say I have a coworker that I know knowingly sells somebody something and then ends up killing them and stuff like that. Like, let's say like that from a partner standpoint, and I cover for them or something like that. As a person, morale, he gets off, whatever, all that. Is that right? I mean, like, it's like when you really look at that, is that right? Now, and if you look at it from the standpoint that we see it, where people are getting shot and they're unarmed, I mean, at the end of the day, somebody's dead, and you can't do anything to take it back.
I saw a video the other day, literally yesterday. A guy in China was walking around with a machete, swinging it at people, and this guy's still alive. They didn't kill him.
They constrained him with what they call man catchers.
A whole bunch of people had these man catchers, and they caught this dude. And
like the dog
hemmed
ropes,
him up in the corner.
Hemmed him up in the corner till law enforcement got there.
Dispatched the knife, the machete. He's breathing. Mm-hmm. He's alive. He's probably going to do whatever time he got to do by their standards, but he gets to live another day and learn from that mistake.
And then if we have to say, like, it's a training thing, like, I'll take the isolated events to where, like, there's other instances where there are not people of color, where they're approached with a taser first. Mm-hmm. Why can't those other people that got shot to death be approached with a taser? And they were unarmed.
I always wonder about that with the taser things. Like, how come they don't use
some people deserve.
I could be wrong.
I watched some situations where some people deserve the taser. I'm
saying, like,
what's the protocol?
Does it work? Does not all departments carry tasers? Only certain places?
I don't know. I don't.
Like, is it a thing where, like,
I guess what I don't get is when someone pulls out a gun and says, "I thought it was my taser." That's when I'm confused. You get what I'm saying? I've heard that before. They don't feel the same. No, they're not even in the the same.
They don't even weigh the same. I don't think.
Two different holster placements, two different ways of grabbing.
One's made out of composite plastic, I think, and others made out of, like.
Where I fall with all that is that, especially with, like, when there's investigations of a police shooting or something like that, you can't have that department do the investigation. Like, it has to be.
No, it's got to be outside.
Yeah, because
can't be internal.
It's a conflict.
Internal gives them, first off, they got all the files, they got all the paperwork, they got everything that's going to be there from every witness, whoever's talking. They can dispatch that information as they well please.
But here's where it gets hairy. Like, say it was, like, in a situation where it was justified, all right?
Mm-hmm. Hey, sometimes it is.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, what do you... Because a lot of times when, like, we see it now, like, when somebody's name gets out there, it might not be the right person, or there might be someone who actually didn't do anything but was, like, wrongfully accused. Or, you know what I mean? Like, you might not have the whole story.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Sometimes we don't get the whole story, though.
We never get the whole story.
We don't, and that's the thing.
I think
we
that's
get clips. We get clips, and then we want to make judgments. We can't really... I mean, as for me, I can't do that. I can't make a judgment off of a small clip. I got to know the whole situation, how it started and how it ended.
Right there, that's a really important thing you just said, because a lot of people are so quick to jump out and they've seen, like, 20 seconds of a video.
Nah, I can't make a judgment off of that. Not even off an individual. I can't even make a judgment off of an individual in 60 seconds.
Absolutely. I think ridiculous. As a society, we all need to take a step back and get the info. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before we start passing judgments.
And it's hard for me to make a judgment if I don't really know you and I didn't meet you and I didn't have an interaction with you. There's different dynamics for all of that. That's why social media is a really hairy thing.
Social media is one of the best and worst things that's happened to our culture.
It's a gift and curse.
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful that we can communicate with somebody, across the world in the blink of an eye, but at the same time, we can talk shit in the blink of an eye and not have to answer for it because there's a bunch of people who act tough behind a keyboard.
People have gotten door knocks from being tough guys on there, and not even from just people that they're arguing with on Facebook, but from law enforcement too.
Absolutely.
Making dumb threats and incriminating themselves, showing weapons, and
I feel like people get stupid on social media.
Very dumb.
And but it lets a lot of people.
A lot of crimes get solved faster on social media.
Yeah, a lot of people telling on themselves.
I was just gonna say that half the investigation is through their life or whatever you're going through.
But I feel like a lot of people who think that they're shielded. There's like a wall of anonymity behind the screen, but it lets them show who they really are.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like people say, like, oh, you know, a lot of truth is spoken in jokes. Like people are just joking, but they're really telling the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With that, I feel like it's let a lot of people almost like get comfortable enough to let that wall down and show what they're really thinking. And they can be, oh no, I was just talking shit online. Like, no, motherfucker, you want to
really
know think that.
Yeah. You want
like you don't just come out and say that as a joke. You know?
I don't like that. I don't like when people talk trash and then want to give me a high five when they see me in person.
I wish sometimes, you know how you go on a comment board on YouTube, the amount of racism you'll see on there?
YouTube's got the worst comments.
You want to know what I wish? I wish that the person's real, that could be a real person's government.
Not even that.
No, you don't get to hide behind a name on there, man. I want to know who
this
you
is
are.
who this is. This is who he works for.
You can't sign up unless you verify your identity.
Some crazy, like, to hide behind. And that's the thing. People think they have the right to just say dumb shit. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with that, man. There's a thing between having an opinion and being respectful.
Or at least be a man and let me know who you are. If you want to say all that stuff, let me know who you are. Let me know.
Drop your address or meeting spot, and we can address that.
An easy rule of thumb.
I'm not even trying to be a tough guy.
Be a man. Let us know the person you are.
Well, think about what you're doing essentially too with comments online. How is that any different than if you just went in the middle of Times Square and just shouted something horrible? Because that many people are going to hear it, probably more than that.
You might get.
I mean, granted, Times Square ain't nobody's really going to hear you so loud. But
you
know what I mean, like in the middle of like a square,
maybe not there. That's Manhattan.
Like a crowded theater or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like that's essentially what you're doing, because people see what you say. A lot of people are going to read it. It's not like, oh, it's just, you know, it's just a comment I left on my buddy's face.
I don't make too many opinions now. I just go on pages and put emojis.
Yeah. But you're seeing the trend, though. I mean, and I'm loving that we're getting into this because with that comment board situation, you have the people getting caught on camera.
Oh, yeah.
Saying what they really feel.
And they get fired over it.
I love it. Just the other day, actually, in, where was it, Florida, these two adults ran down on these teenagers.
With guns.
Protesting. And the guy approached the teenagers with guns. I watched the video. She tried to say the guy ran over her foot with a tire. He did not.
Never happened.
She actually approached him. She walked toward him. So if anything, her foot rubbed the tire because she walked towards the kid.
It was a bicycle tire, by the way. We're not talking about like a car tire.
I mean, the first thing I'll point out in the video is that when as the video's going, he said,
big bad Italian guy rolls up and calls these kids the N-word. I was dumbfounded.
You can hear it and all that.
When you're leading off with that, like you. All right, I see what I'm dealing with right now.
You had to be the tough guy with the gun, okay. And
you also know in your mind he's been using this word for his entire life.
Clearly,
there's no spinning that.
Around like
you can't play that off.
Yeah, you tried to spin it as we use this word because everyone else uses it. Get out of here.
No, you
fuck out of here.
Not like that.
No, that's not. You know that's not.
We don't
PC.
put the ER.
Everybody else, maybe everybody else at your fucking Klan meeting.
Yeah. You know that's not PC, but I'll point out he didn't have a permit to carry, so he was already.
Oh, did they get him?
Yeah, they got him. He got arrested.
Wow. He ran up on these kids with pistol out.
I'll give the update.
Threatening.
You know what's fucked up? This is what's been going on forever.
Oh yeah,
but now everybody's
getting on camera.
That wasn't on camera though. I was just gonna say if that wasn't on camera, he would have got away.
Against the kids, and whose word are you gonna take?
The adults.
So, but the fact that
it was on tape.
The fact that he didn't have a permit to carry was also the first thing. Strike for him. 2, he dropped the N-bomb. I guess they're pursuing a hate crime now that the N-word was dropped and caught on camera as he was pursuing with a gun that he said wasn't loaded. Once they searched the vehicle, they discovered it was loaded. Mm-hmm. So he had a loaded gun, approached teenagers with it. So you're that threatened by teenagers, children.
So you get a child charge now
on bicycles that you're gonna approach them with a weapon.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, lock this guy up.
So he got locked up. He's out right now on a bond. I think it was like $550,000 or something like that.
First off,
those sound like felony charges, though.
No, it's a felony charge and a hate crime charge, potential hate crime charge. But to make a long story short, this guy came out, got caught on camera. The first thing the teenager that's recording him says is, "You're going to be in the news." And guess what they did? Like everyone else who's on these cameras that gets initially caught in these cameras says, "I don't care."
Yeah.
And guess what?
I hope you put me on the news.
Yeah. And guess what? Guess what?
Yeah.
Guess what? Now all her information is exposed on LinkedIn.
You ruin your life.
You're done
now for being an idiot.
You're done.
Just because you want to hate people for being the way you were raised.
These guys have their own independent businesses. Now, the thing about being an entrepreneur compared to being in a company or a corporation and being let go and terminated because of your beliefs, they don't fit the company's mission and all that. The thing about being an entrepreneur is I think that stains you even worse.
For life, you're out of the BBB. That's your Better Business Bureau.
But you got to keep in mind, too, this is Florida. There's no shortage of people that'll probably go to that guy just because they heard him say that.
You're probably right.
Like, let's not forget, this is Florida. First of all, it's Florida. You know that motherfucking gun was loaded. They don't even have to look in the car.
Yeah.
Like,
you're still shamed,
yeah.
Wrong side of history.
I'm with Steve, though. I don't think that's really going to stop his flow out there. I mean, that's where his demographic is anyway.
But they did what they were supposed to down there. They found the guy before he even got home or anything like that. Found him on the streets, arrested him, brought him in. And the thing that I'm just so...
The lady provoked this. She should just be charged just as much as he did. She was damn near pointing the guy out to go point the gun at the damn kids.
And the last thing I'll say is I was just dumbfounded by how they were trying to justify it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people are trying to spin anything. They'll try to wriggle the way out.
People cut me off every day. I don't make it my job. They would cut them off the road, run them off the road, get out the car, and pull a gun out.
Yeah, I say this is Jersey.
Overreact.
We get cut off every single day of our lives. What do? Flip the bird and keep going.
Keep it going.
Yeah.
I'll never see the guy ever again in my life.
Absolutely. Be an asshole. Good. I'm glad I don't know you. I don't have to deal with you every day of my life.
Yep.
I hope I never see you again. And that's what you do. Like, first of all, what the fuck is going on in your life where you feel like because somebody came close to your toe, you have to run up on them with a gun?
You know what I mean?
Like, I think now
we're getting
into
like in the hood club stuff, like when someone smudges your Puma.
Like mental health issues.
Now, let me ask you a question.
You're not dealing with a full deck.
Is that thug behavior?
Well, that's the thing. A lot of times people, I've used this.
Well, what is it, analogy. Rashaun?
Listen, I've used this analogy on a lot of people, and I think it makes pretty good sense. You hear like those guys, this rap, all like glorifying crime, all this stuff, the thugs. I'm like, hang on a sec. Isn't your favorite movie Goodfellas?
Yeah, aren't they thugs?
Don't you love those mob movies? What the fuck do you think those guys do? They chop up bodies. They burn down businesses.
That's
run
thuggiest of the thuggy.
They can glorify more than the Nino Browns in the hoods.
But that's what I mean. Like they forget about
stuff.
that.
Yeah, they forget that's the same thing. But I think the thing that separates it is the skin color.
Well, that's what it is, and I think
their crime is better crime than our crime because it's the skin color.
I'm going to say this. I think that there's a lot of people that have, I don't want to say like hardcore racist like views, but definitely
you can sense some stuff in some people. You can sense it. It's not hard to figure out.
I think that there's people that it's for in their world, like in their life, just in their
well, that's
circles,
the thing. You said the key word. It's their world. Their world. The world that they grew up in has no diversity.
No ties.
It has no ties to being well-rounded.
People who have an opinion on African American communities and they
have never lived it, never breathed it. They'll say they have friends, but how many times have you hung out with this friend at this cookout?
Exactly.
Have you been invited to that friend's like anything?
How many times have you been invited to the cookout?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think a lot of these people, they don't realize that looking at the world from that perspective. Like, of course you're going to be treating people differently. Like, you can say, I'm not racist. I don't... They get pissed off. We call them racist. But, okay,
no, and then they try to spin it on you and say you're racist because you question them being racist.
Yeah,
because they said something... No, but I'm saying...
Just a cop-out.
I'm just saying that just happens, though. It just happens.
Yeah. Oh, you're racist for saying that. It's like, fuck you, dude.
That doesn't even make sense, man.
Like, are we going to have a conversation? He's going to talk out of your ass.
That was like when Trump got asked a question by the reporter, and he's like, hey, why would you ask something? Are you racist? Or you ask it? It wasn't a racist question. She asked
first of all, the people that claim this reverse racism was like, okay, first of all, it's not real. It's not happening because there's no race that's oppressing you as a white guy.
Not
when
you're the majority.
I think the definition for sure is gotten lost.
Yeah. Well, I think there's too many people that use it for things that don't necessarily fit the bill. That when a real racist shit happens, like you don't have the words left. People are like, well, you fucking use that for everything, so why should we believe you now? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that might have good intentions, but they're actually doing a disservice to that cause by trying to call some bullshit racist. Like, listen, call the real shit racist because there's plenty of real shit out there.
Don't cry wolf. Yeah, I was like, don't cry wolf on some fake stuff
behind closed doors.
And then when it's real, no one's gonna believe you. So, I'm with you on that. Don't call everything because some people like to do that and cop out and use that card. I do admit that. People,
No,
not me,
listen,
but I'm saying it happens.
Nobody's perfect. There's always going to be
I've seen it in videos, and I'm looking and I'm disgusted sometimes. Like, man, this makes me look bad. I do. I watch those things.
Bro, how do you think I feel when I see white guys jumping out of the car pulling guns on black kids on a bicycle? Like, it makes us look pretty bad. You know what I mean? Like, so we all have that, and there's always going to be assholes on no matter what side you're on.
Oh yeah, easily.
But as long as, like, one of my problems is that you can't have the straw man argument. You can't look at the worst of a group and say, oh, this is what this whole group is like.
Yep.
No, that's just one crazy asshole.
I don't like generalizing that.
Yeah, that you can't do that because that is a cop out, and that, like I said, you're not really arguing the facts. You're not arguing the reality.
And every group
you're trying to change what it really is. You're trying to change the frame of the argument.
I just take hints. That's it. It's like if you keep leaning towards a certain direction and you keep leaning that way and try to push you back and you keep leaning that way, then all right, I understand.
Yeah.
This is probably
Every
the direction
group
you see.
every group has their criminals, their thugs, their rapists, their
Every single race.
their good people,
Your poor people,
their
your
Einsteins,
scumbags.
your athletes, you name it. Every culture has that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why people try to turn a blind eye, like that's not there. Now, like, and then they want to try and bring like something like statistics into it. Well, you can't bring statistics in something when
the group's already small.
Proportions already like small compared.
Well, I think the problem that a lot of people like to overlook very conveniently for them is that it's usually not a race thing. It's more of a class thing.
Yeah.
Because that's really one of the biggest things that's
They
fucking
keep-
up a lot of people.
They
in this
keep
country.
forgetting we started in the worst class you could ever be in.
Well, that's the thing too, and a lot of people like to, a lot of shitty people would say, oh, all these people on welfare and all this stuff like that, trying to make it seem like it's mostly black
It's 50-50,
people. There's
by the
way
way.
more white people on welfare.
It's about 50-50.
It's more. No,
More,
it's
no,
more
I'd say
than
it
that.
might be more than that end, but it's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
But it's people don't like to argue in reality. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, listen, I'm sure the three of us are probably guilty of this sometimes too. Like, nobody's perfect. Nobody can know all the facts, and I get that. But if you're just making an argument in bad faith, that's where I have a problem. And that's why I don't want to. You don't want to deal with people like that.
I don't
The
want
problem is
people like
it's
that in my life because then that means if my kids have to be around them, their kids are gonna have that same mentality.
Yeah, they
and I want my
down
kids,
at home.
one day to be well rounded, to look at any human being and lift them up and in a positive way, not in a negative way because of what they are on the outside. I'm not with that at all. It still exists. That's the shame that people want to say that it doesn't.
It's sad.
You know,
it's sad when the people who say it doesn't exist, they know it exists because some people know it exists because they go back behind closed doors and they go ahead and they hide it from the world. They hide it from the world, and you'll never know unless they get caught in an event where they caught on a cell phone.
Well, that's the thing. That's what.
And they get caught out of character, and they lose their cool, and they just blow their gaskets to the point to where they've just lost all reason, and somebody's got them on camera.
When Richard Pryor had a thing, it's like there's three types of people that tell the truth: drunk people, kids, and anyone who's pissed the fuck off.
Yep.
So if somebody gets pushed to that limit, what's
know how
inside
you
is
really
going to
feel.
come out.
oh,
You're gonna see it.
most definitely.
Anybody gets in that situation, and you're going to see them show what's really inside.
Absolutely.
And then the thing that people claim with the reverse racism is like, okay, it wouldn't exist if the racism wasn't brought on that person.
Yeah, it's not, first of all, it's not a real thing.
I just want to put
Let's
this
just
in the
put that
perspective.
out. It's not a real thing.
I just want to put
It's
this in the
not.
perspective too. My grandfather is 75, 76.
He was alive when there was segregation.
I was just
so
about
it
to
wasn't
say
that long
he's been alive. He's only in his 70s. He's been alive long enough where racism. I mean, yeah, basically segregation existed in his lifetime.
And then people say get over it.
That's not that long ago.
Here's what
It
I'll
ain't.
point out. Did you know that Anne Frank and Martin Luther King were born around the same, I think on the same year?
I did not know that.
It's not
Thinking back, okay. I mean, listen, I'm not gonna. I can't fact check right now, but I can buy that.
Okay, so but this is based on what I read. So I mean, you could quote me or you cannot quote me because it's based on what I read. Me myself, I didn't research it. It's something I blindly read. But hey, if it's true, I will look into it. But there was a post that said that they were born in the same year, and obviously we knew what events were going on around the time she was, a young child, and when all that stuff was going on. And then obviously we know what he endured throughout his life, all the way from his childhood to the point that he died. Why do people like try to make it seem like those two things don't kind of align with each other? Especially since, you know, we all know that slavery was going on prior to Martin Luther King's birth for 100 years and plus.
200, like 250 something years. It's a long time, man. A lot of people don't realize that, like how long it actually went on.
That's a bunch of lifetimes.
So
it's not
why
like
do
a little
we have
generations?
So I have to get over the fact that I have a living family member that endured some of that bullshit. Fuck you.
Well, think about this: the World War II. You know,
that's what I want to tell people to tell me to get over it.
They went off to fight the USA. A lot of them, and they came back, and they're treated as second-class citizens.
Yeah,
a lot of times treated subhuman, and that happened here in this country.
Well, here's the thing: you know what it is? All these so-called, you know, right wingers want to protect these very people that you're talking about because they use them in their propagandic arguments every time.
See, the thing is, you can't even call those people right wingers. Those are just people that are trying to protect
anyone that tries to use the military to advance an argument.
Yeah, that's just somebody who doesn't have an argument is trying to hide behind that.
That's basically what I'm saying. So for the fact that African Americans back then could go out and fight in a war and come back as a second-class citizen, and then all of a sudden you want to be all high and mighty for the veterans that fought in the wars.
Well, luckily,
which come from many different backgrounds, by the way. I don't want to just line it up to just the black and white. There's a lot of different races in between there.
Latinos make up a big portion of the military. And nowadays, especially.
A lot of what is recruited comes out of inner city and low-income areas. Yeah. So
that's where most of the recruiting centers are.
So
a lot of those guys don't have that many options.
So guess who's fighting for this country? A lot of the people that are fighting for this country are in low opportunistic areas, fighting for people who do not give a flying F about them.
Absolutely. You know what? I mean, listen, a lot of the veterans, a lot of those guys, you know, they're not getting the help that they need, especially coming back. You know, these guys are coming back fucked up. You know, they go. You gotta be. Listen, you gotta be a special type of person to go overseas and fight and see some of this horrific shit that they do, and to still get up day after day, and keep doing it and keep. You know,
and then come back to a country that doesn't want to fucking take care of you.
And these people are trying to use you like poster boys, but at the same time, just brushing you under the rug.
You're still out on the streets. You're looking for your next meal.
Yeah,
while they're talking about they want to help the veterans, help this, help that.
They need to start at home and help the veterans.
This ties into my argument with that because the way that servicemen are treated, they try to make it. And I'm not saying that an officer doesn't deserve any credibility, but there's this big thing with this thin blue line thing now where they try to tie in the service of a police officer and make it equal to someone who's serving overseas. Well, yeah. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like that's actually happening right now.
Well, the thing is, you can't compare the two because...
But they are comparing the two. The thin blue line has more credibility in our country than a freaking soldier fighting overseas right now.
But that, you know what the problem is that people try to make it as you're either with us or against us. Well, that's really not the case.
No, we're supposed to be one country.
But you could be pro-police, but be pro-police accountability. I don't think that's an outrageous thing. No, like I have no problem with police officers. I have problems with people doing the wrong things.
Yeah, same here.
Using their power, and I don't think.
And if
that's
you got a problem
with
me saying that as a person, and if you got a problem with because that's your brother or you're the person you went to academy with,
so this goes into my Colin argument.
Go ahead, speak up. No.
This ties in because the blue line ties into that. Because what was the Colin Kaepernick gripe about in the first place?
He's not patriotic.
Him disrespecting the military. Then what did
it had nothing to do with the military.
It turned into that thin blue line thing. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, listen, if you have a problem with somebody criticizing when you did something fucked up, I mean, I know you've heard the saying, "A hit dog gonna holler."
Oh yeah.
Like, that means there's a reason that you're sensitive about it.
It's not
you know what I mean?
robots policing the country. It's human beings. And human beings make mistakes. Absolutely. Human beings are corrupt. Human beings do things that aren't truthful. We've seen this from time to time. We see it on the news till this day. We see it every day. Stuff pops up where there's corrupt activity and stuff like that. So you can't tell people to trust the structure that's ahead, that's above us and stuff like that when corrupt stuff's going on.
But we glorify our police officers more than we do the men fighting overseas. The most dangerous thing that you could be doing right now on this planet, in my eyes.
and that's crazy to me.
I don't think we. I mean, I think the
police I think the way the movements are set up. I'm not.
Yeah.
But that's the fighting to the politics of all
this.
Yeah,
listen, we're in the weeds now.
Yeah,
for 2 hours.
I'm not even one of those guys where I'm like highly political. I just think what they made that with him kneeling, it was about disrespecting the military. Then it turned into you're disrespecting law enforcement, and the focus completely went to law enforcement.
Well, that's like the straw man argument. They're trying to change the frame of what he was saying. And now listen, I mean, I might have issues with Colin Kaepernick on, random different things, but that doesn't matter, because if somebody's making a good point, they're making a good point, and it doesn't matter who the messenger is. A broken clock can still be right twice a day.
I wasn't even a Colin Kaepernick,
the thing is that somebody trying to change the argument because they don't want to accept the fact, they don't want to take any criticism. So instead of just saying, yeah, okay, we might have fucked up over here, like, okay, we'll work on that. You can't take any criticism at all, and then that's where you get that combativeness where it's like, no, fuck you, bro. Like you guys are the ones that are fucked up. We're out here every day. It's like, no, we're with you. Like we want to be on your side, but just do the right thing. That's all we're asking. Yeah. I don't think that.
But the thing is, people love throwing stones.
Everybody does. Everybody loves to throw stones. You're 100% right about that. A lot of people don't want to just sit down and just. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I gotta be talking out of my ass here, but. It seems like, just people don't want to sit down and just talk things out, because then it just becomes a screaming match.
I think we would understand a lot.
Ego at stake.
Stubbornness.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And that's where the social media ruins things, because you can't have that sit down conversation.
Absolutely.
You got to judge somebody based off of a stupid comment they might have made, and then you've already made your mind up. Basically,
comments can be taken out of context.
They absolutely can.
But that's one of the things that's beautiful about podcasts like this is you could sit down for 2 hours and you could talk, because you could hear somebody talk for first of all, you might know for somebody for 5-6 years. But then on that 7th year, you might hear them say something that changes your whole perspective about them. Yep. But at least with this, we're sitting down, it's a long form conversation. You get to get a more well-rounded idea of what somebody's about, or at least what point they're trying to make, and they can make an argument and talk it out.
Oh yeah.
But listen, here's what I want to do. Instead of having an outro song today, I want to play some of your stuff on the way out. So anybody listening? Rashaun, where can we find you on social media? Give us your handle.
So my handle on Instagram is paid. Oh no, that's my gaming tag. No, it's real R dot. Exactly how it sounds. Real R DOT. And on Facebook, Rashaun Gasaway.
Laquan, how about you?
My Instagram is LQ31F, and then my Twitter is just real LQ.
You guys got anything you want to promote before we head out? Anybody you want to shout out? Anything you got?
We got a couple YouTube projects coming out. We're dropping our channel this year. We're going to be doing a lot of streaming, and we're also going to be dropping our first beat tape. It's coming down in the beginning of the spring, so we're going to call it March, end of March.
Yeah, it's the first of probably about 5 or 6 in the making. This particular one, everything's gonna have a different vibe, a different feeling. So with this particular one, we're gonna obviously release the music on its own, but to accompany the music, we're gonna have a YouTube video for every song that's on the project. It's gonna be like a life experience. So like based on the song, the video is gonna reflect what you could possibly be doing in your life while that music is playing. Okay, so that's the perspective we're doing.
What's the you guys have the YouTube channel up already?
Or? It's almost ready, so I don't even have that info. But through the Instagram and through the Twitter, I'm gonna have all that information. And then something else, we're probably gonna be looking to get into some placements this year too. So that's definitely check out for that.
All right, absolutely. You heard it, guys. Look them up in Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You know us, APodAmongstMen at gmail.com. Hit us up with any questions, anything you want to know.
Yeah, I just wanted to say also thank you for having us here too, man.
Yeah, man. Good times.
I love the concept. Like I said, man, this is a dope thing you got going.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys coming out. You know, I'm still a nobody, so you guys are helping me right now.
No, absolutely. All right, man. No problem.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Hit up my friends, and talk to you soon. Peace
out, world.